Well, nothing says honesty like taking the fifth, huh, Doc? Let's try something. What day of the week is it today?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color tie are you wearing?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color is the carpet in front of you?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Let's just get one thing straight. You don't have any rights under the Fifth Amendment because you've been pardoned, as you very well know. As the Supreme Court has been clear for a century and more, Brown versus Walker, 1896, when he has been pardoned, he may not stand upon his privilege. You know that. Your lawyers sitting behind you now shifting nervously in their chairs. They know it. This isn't about the Constitution. This isn't about the law. This is about contempt. Contempt for this body and contempt for the American people. But I think I know why you're doing it. It's because you don't want to answer questions. It's because you did all kinds of terrible things. It's because during the pandemic you got rich, didn't you? You got rich. While people were dying, hundreds of thousands of Americans, over 1 million in the end, and you were getting rich, and not only were you doing that, you were using federal employees with taxpayer money to apply for and solicit cash prizes for you personally. Cash prizes totaling over $1 million. You did all of that during the pandemic, didn't you? That's a question.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
You remember Greg Folkers? Who was that?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Your chief of staff is the answer. Do you remember Patricia Conrad? Who was that?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
She was your personal assistant. And what were these individuals doing in the depth of the pandemic in November of 2020 when millions of Americans were suffering from COVID? What were they doing? I tell you what they're doing. Folkers was on your behalf soliciting and gathering information for a cash award. Let's look at it. We've got his email right here, right over my shoulder. Folkers says, I'm working on this nomination for the Dan David Award for Fauci. We need to beef up the COVID part. Do you have language in the can that you could share that delineates how we responded in new ways to COVID? He sends this to multiple federal employees. What was the Dan David Award? Do you remember, Doc?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
It was a $900,000 cash award. $900,000 cash award. And he got it because he used federal employees to get it. And this wasn't the only award, was it, Dr. Fauci? In fact, you applied for and received at least 8 other federal cash prizes on federal time using federal employees and federal resources. You turned your staff into a full-time application machine. You actually wrote to people and said, do you think maybe I'd qualify? And you got cash for all of this. And it wasn't just 1 or 2 employees, was it? In fact, you used 8 separate federal employees on federal time using federal resources to solicit cash awards. Isn't that true?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Here they are right over my shoulder. Here's all of them. The people that you use, federal employees, so that you could go and get cash money. And the most hilarious part is that you weren't content to even dragoon them into applying for all of these cash awards. You then had them go out to the ethics agencies and ethics watchdogs and demand that you be able to get the money. And here's the real thing. At the end of the day, it wasn't just about the money, really, was it? It was really about a power trip. I mean, through all of this, you want to be the most famous scientist in the world. You were so focused on getting every award and every drop of cash that you could, all because you wanted to be on TV. You wanted to be the sun god of science. You wanted to be the guy who was in charge of it all. You wanted to lambaste Trump. You wanted to make sure that nobody else stole your spotlight. You wanted to be the guy. You had time to sit for InStyle magazine. Here's what you were doing with your time. You could sit for InStyle magazine, but you can't answer questions for the American people. You could sit for InStyle magazine, but you're here taking the fifth. You could sit for InStyle magazine and get $1 million in cash awards. But now the cat's got your tongue. I bet he does. I tell you what, here's my conclusion from all of this. This was really all about you the whole time. Somewhere along the way, you lost your way. You may have been a good public servant at one time. I don't know. But I can tell you from reading your emails now, from looking at what you did, how you used your employees, somewhere along the line, it became all about you. You became a narcissist and a megalomaniac and a liar. And you've lied to the American people, and you've lied to this body. And you've disgraced your profession by doing it. You called yourself the most famous scientist in the world. You've done more to harm science than anybody in my lifetime. And I hope you'll go home and write that in your diary.
This is a victory for the true believers.
Our budget is now in surplus. We are back in the black. We are back on track.
We will decide who comes to this country and the circumstances in which they come.
Socialists don't like ordinary people choosing, for they might not choose socialism.
Well, nothing says honesty like taking the fifth, huh, Doc?
120 years ago, our country had the world's highest per capita income. What the hell happened?
Sit down! Sorry, it's a dog.
Ah! We're coming for you, globalist! Ah! Coming for you!
G'day everyone, welcome back to another episode of Commanding the Narrative. My name is Stephen Tripp, and thank you to everyone who is joining this wherever you are watching this. And if you are watching this live, we want to hear from you. This is going to be a very good episode. We're fired up and laughing already from the cold open and the intro, but we do want to hear from you if you are watching live. And if you are really feeling up to it, hit that link to StreamYard and you can call in and have a say. Ask a question, make a statement, yell at us, whatever you want to do. We want to hear from you. Don't be shy. It's like Talkback Radio, except we call it Talkback Streaming. Got a big episode, a great panel here tonight. This is what we were trying to achieve at Commanding the Narrative by having great panels like the one tonight, talking about Fauci and talking about Spain and the economy and a whole host of issues. So to kick it off, we've got Natalie Dumer. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Great to be here. I love talking about Fauci.
And COVID as well.
And COVID, but I'll plead the fifth if APRA asks.
And big Robert Nalbandian, how are you, mate?
On the advice of counsel, no. I'm good. I'm really good.
And Mr. Vallejo, Paul Vallejo.
Plead the fifth.
Okay. All right. So what have you guys been up to? I know, all of you were very actively involved in 2022, back when a lot of people were saying you're all cookers and, vaccines and anti-vaxxers and all this sort of stuff, but it seemingly as time goes on, with a lot more is coming out.
Time is vindicating, absolutely.
Yeah. How do you feel about that, Paul?
On the one hand, it'll always be sad for all the people that were harmed. Yeah. All the friends that were harmed, all the people, dividing families, dividing friends, but I think this has the opportunity to bring people back together who are estranged. Give people the opportunity to look at their healthcare system and finally reform it, because it really needs it badly. And we were talking earlier about how kind of hopeful on the whole, we feel, despite the fact that at the ground level, there's still a lot of cockroaches running around.
Yeah. And, you were running in North Sydney at the time. North Sydney's since been abolished.
Yeah.
But you were in that heart of the teal electorate. I mean, we all were.
Yeah. Right.
But what are your thoughts in the last 4 years? How have you seen the narrative change?
I'd like to think, given part of the intro, people are starting to wake up. Like, how could, Dr. Fauci be in a Senate committee hearing? And, there's nothing like that says trust the science with pleading the fifth. I think it was 111 times.
It would have been nice if that happened at the time.
Well, look, it's got to start somewhere. And, if you just want the status quo, just don't do anything. So, of course, we felt like this is what I think. I think we were told that there's not many of us, but then during 2022, look how many connections we made. And there's a lot more people
Cross-party connections as well.
Well, I think this goes beyond politics. It's just there's good people in Australia who are like, oh, hold on, something's wrong. You can't, like, what happened to the freedoms I'm supposedly having? So yes, we were in the teal heartland, I mean, I don't know how they're going to go now, but that's a further topic later on, right? Because I don't know if people believe in climate change anymore. Dr. Fauci, whatever. It's people are starting to wake up. I think.
Not with data centers. Climate change disappears with data centers when you need that much energy. Sorry, it just goes woof. All of a sudden, it just doesn't exist.
Yeah, but we knew all this sort of stuff.
No, we did. Of course, we did.
I mean, you were on the bus in Wentworth.
Oh, yeah.
Running in Wentworth against Allegra Spender. How was that?
Well, it was fabulous. I mean, I got offered a lot of little red snakes to eat during booth time. I mean, that was really lovely. Yeah. Offer a red snake to a dentist. See the response. It was fascinating. I think it made me into a much stronger individual. I think it caused it provided me with a lot of friendships, a lot of contacts, whether it be from political standpoints, medical standpoints, all sorts of standpoints. It was a very, very awful time, I think, for a lot of people because we didn't really understand where we were living, what had actually happened, because I had my rose-colored glasses on pre-COVID. I thought everything was hunky-dory and dandy. I was very, very wrong. And then unfortunately, my mother got very badly vaccine injured. So it's been interesting dealing with somebody who no longer can walk, has rapid onset dementia, who has never had any issues in her life ever.
And how have the doctors been? Have they acknowledged the injury?
Well, interestingly. So Charlie Teo, yes. Charlie Teo has acknowledged this is a vaccine injury. St. Vincent's, I made them acknowledge it. So, yes, it's been acknowledged. It's all the paperwork everywhere that she is vaccine injured from her Moderna booster. A lot of the doctors, the geriatrician thought I was batshit crazy. The first neurologist I saw pretty much told me I was the luckiest person alive and my mother was the luckiest person alive that she got a COVID vaccine. So it was a mixed bag. But there is acknowledgement out there, and I'm finding more and more people are quite open to the conversation.
Yeah, well, it's good. I mean, I think I spoke to you before about Costamaros, who's one of Australia's leading pollsters, and he was asked the question recently, why is Dan Andrews on the nose in Victoria? Because he was celebrated at the time, hashtag I stand with Dan and all this sort of stuff. And Costamaros said, if you study psychology, people that are in trauma, it takes them 2 or 3 years before they really come out of that trauma and start to realize what happened to them. And that's the flow-on effect. We were expecting people to wake up in 2022 and say, let's vote out the Liberal Party. Let's vote out Labor because they've imposed these lockdowns upon us. They've imposed the mandates upon us. But that trauma still had a few years to play out. And I guess we didn't go along with it in the beginning, but a lot of people
But medically also, this is what people don't understand. From a medical perspective, a lot of the things that were terrible. Think about smoking. How long did it take society to realize how bad smoking truly was?
Yeah, I would say cigarettes, not true.
Sorry, cigarettes.
Not true tobacco.
No,
that's questionable.
Okay. We won't go down the pathway of which one. I don't know much about that. But what I'm saying is, it's very slow with medicine because there is a force. So, there is a force, and that's industry or pharmaceutical force that has a lot of how do you put it, power in trying to push this product onto the market. So until we start investigating it and the public are actually a lot more aware, it's very difficult to bring it back. But anyway, I'm very hopeful.
And there's an emotional arc we have to go through. Like the degree to which 2020 was so destabilizing. There are so many things that were horrifying to consider, and I remember thinking, I've never wanted to be wrong more in my life. The things I was seeing, I was like, I really hope, I would love to be wrong about all these things. But that process of disillusionment and then, finding your way through that, it is like the stages of grief, a little different, but some people are just kind of starting that journey now. And I think it's also really important that, for one, the pressure stay on, but for two, people are welcoming to friends and family who are kind of starting to make their realizations as much as they can, because if all you do is say, I told you so, it doesn't typically get people farther.
Also cognitive dissonance. Like you're telling people, hey, your whole worldview is wrong, right?
Yeah.
But
the experts that you looked up to,
they're watching it happen in real time, because we all were. Like, I mean, I was in Gladys Berejiklian's electorate essentially. Like, she was next door, and I'm thinking, this is kind of, you're locking down Western Sydney, but you're okay there because you live there. So, it takes time for people to wake up, and it's almost very similar to cult-like behavior when people are in cults, because there's that draw and like, oh no, they wouldn't do the wrong thing to me. I'm like, they might, they might. So,
yep. All right, guys. Well, let's just let everyone know how they can follow Commanding the Narrative first. It's by heading to commandingthenarrative.com, and you can keep up to date with all the previous podcasts that we've did. Sorry for everyone last week. I was sick as a dog. I was in bed for about 4 days straight, so I was unable to do the podcast last week. But
should have had your flu vaccine.
I know I should have.
You should be pleading the fifth right
especially
now.
The Moderna mRNA that's just been approved by the FDA.
There's so many things I should have done, but here I am. But the last one we did was Giselle Capterian, which was really good. Surprisingly, I know you didn't. You're not a big fan of the Liberals, Robert. But
hold on, it's not that. I'm not a fan of people pretending to say they're conservative and then they're in a moderate faction, and she's backed by Gladys. That's what I'm not a fan of.
She said she didn't join that faction. She just
of course not. Yeah, I just joined the Liberals because it's the best shot of getting.
But everyone says that, and unfortunately,
all of them.
Everyone says they're going to go in and change the Liberal Party, but no one's been able to do it because unfortunately they've been so captured. I'm sorry, I'm with Robert on this one. No,
I don't.
Well, I think it's definitely worth listening to at least, and everyone can decide for themselves.
True, we've got to listen.
And she's definitely
only because you're in there.
Yeah, well,
not because.
And Richard was entertaining as well. So check that one out. I don't think we should have had Richard there, but he organised it, so I couldn't really say much about that. But all the podcasts are up on the website. You can also get them at YouTube and Rumble and all those other places as well. You'll find all the articles that I've recently written on the website as well. And if you want to know who's coming up on the website this week, you'll find it here under upcoming events. You'll get all the links of the live stream and everything. And also, I want to let you know about this event coming up as well next weekend, next Saturday. The August 15th in Gympie at the Gympie Bowls Club. So if you're in the Gympie region or the Sunshine Coast or even Brisbane, it'd be worth driving up for this one. We've got some great guests at this event. We're going to have Dr. Gary Johns talking about his new book, which is all about the pandemic actually and the government's response to the pandemic. So that's going to be very, very interesting. We've got Katie McCallum, who Pauline Hanson recently came out and endorsed. Not officially, but endorsed for the electorate of Wide Bay, which is right there smack bang in Gympie. So it's going to be very interesting hearing from Katie. She's also the president of Let's Rethink Renewables. And just announced this week, Scotty Challam from the Australian Lobby Group. He's going to be there as well. So that's going to be great. And also myself and Deborah Yule, who is the president of the founder of Australians for Australia. So a lot of good groups coming together, talking about reforming our system and reforming our government. So it's going to be an important event. If you are in region, we'd love to see you there. Please head to the website, australiansforbetter.com, and you can get your tickets there, or you can head to commandingthenarrative.com and get your tickets there as well. Just follow the links to Humanitix, which I recently found out apparently is owned by Simon Holmes Accord. So you can pay cash or card at the door as well if you're not thrilled about going online. But these events are important. We're traveling the country trying to get people to question our system of government. It definitely needs reform. A lot of people focus on the politicians and the parties and all that stuff. I think they're just the symptoms. Australians for Better Government looks at the core root of the problem. So please come along. I always pick up some great things from people at these events, ideas that they might have or questions they might have, and that shapes the direction of Australians for Better Government as well. So great events. They're very important. We'd love to see you there. And if you want to contribute to Commanding the Narrative in some sort of financial way, helps to pay for this studio that we've just built. We've got a few more things left to do. You can head to Buy Me a Coffee and throw us a few dollars there. It helps us out in a big, big way. So if you appreciate what we're trying to do at Commanding the Narrative and you would like to contribute, please head to Buy Me a Coffee. All right, guys. So we're going to get into it. So we're going to kick it off by talking about Fauci. And hope, it would have been nice to talk about this last week, but I was ill. But we're going to be talking about it this week. So I guess to get a recap, I'll play this clip now in case if anyone out there hasn't seen it. and it maybe hasn't been in the media. I'm going to talk about that actually, how it was covered by the media. But this is a little clip of Fauci.
If I become a punching bag, I'm a punching bag, but I am very happy to testify before any congressional oversight committee. I have nothing to hide. I can explain and validate everything that I've done. So, it's going to be inconvenient if they actually are out there essentially threatening to make my life miserable. But I'm going to do what I need to do, and that is cooperate fully, because we have nothing to hide at all. Under the advice of my attorneys, I will invoke my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution to refrain from answering your questions. On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline, based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment, I respectfully decline to answer. On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution. Well,
So that was that, guys. I mean, when you saw the footage coming through the next day, or when we were waking up here in Australia of that happening, what were your reactions when you saw him pleading the Fifth so many times?
I imagine in his mind, he technically did answer everything. He's like, I can answer everything by pleading the Fifth. But then there's this little bit he's not saying by pleading the Fifth. Nothing just says trust me like I'm not going to answer. I don't know. Like,
I mean, the
Well,
facade.
I've got the science over here, right here. Should we trust the science? Because Fauci said,
What do
if
you
don't
mean?
trust the science, or if you don't
Fauci
trust me,
is the science.
That's the thing, is that there's a big difference between the method, and science should be a method by which you test hypotheses. You're open to conflicting information. What the climate scientists and Dr. Fauci tried to turn it into was a religion. Whereas if you have the proper lab coat and you call yourself the science, you're unchallengeable, because if you're challenging me, you're challenging science.
Yeah.
But in practice, he wasn't actually performing any science at all. He wasn't doing randomized, controlled, double-blind, placebos controlled studies on the actual vaccines.
That surprised you?
Compared to 2020, yes. I mean, because that's part of that disillusionment process. Before 2020, while I was informed enough to challenge the climate narrative and the finance narrative, the medical narrative, I trusted that the journals and the studies on the medical science.
I can't remember. Was it you that was what woke you up? Because I mean, you obviously have a science and engineering background.
Yeah.
You were like, why are they not?
Well, at some point, even though I understood that the climate narrative was nonsense, and I watched the global financial crisis knowing that it was corrupt as hell, I didn't think it was pervasive, and that was part of the despair in 2020 and 2021 was, oh my God, it's almost everything. It's the whole medical system. It's the uniparty. It's a control. I wasn't allowed to leave my free country to be with my father when my mother died. My partner's brother got myocarditis from a mandated injection. It was that was sort of that emotional arc that comes after you realize, wow, it's not just a couple of things. It's not just normal corruption.
Yeah. Natalie, I mean, when you saw, what were you?
A few things. Double-blind and placebo studies in childhood vaccines don't exist, sure. Right. If anyone follows Aaron Siri, they'd know that. Read his book. It's incredible. But unfortunately, the Pfizer and the Moderna did have a saline group. The problem with it was it wasn't blinded, because a lot of the people knew what they were injecting into the patients. That's number one. And number two, they unblinded it and basically vaccinated the placebo group within a month of the actual vaccinations, because apparently it's not ethical to have a saline placebo group.
They also removed Maddie DeGarry from that trial. Yes,
from that trial, because she and quoted her on the VIA system as having stomach pain. There's a lot.
She's wheelchair. She was eating out of a tube for a while after that. So they took the trial and they removed people who got badly damaged and said, oh, that was, they just kind of.
It got even worse than that. When you look at the Pfizer trial papers, what they did do is they hid two dead bodies. And this is, if you look at Jayanti Kundayashan, who was working for Naomi Wolf, analyzing it all, they did not report two people that had died in the Pfizer arm.
Wow.
prior to the VRBAC meeting. So the VRBAC is the meeting that decides whether to approve a vaccine or not approve a vaccine. They pushed the VRBAC meeting to a time post-Trump election, so Trump would not be credited for the Pfizer vaccine. That was one thing. And the second they did not allow for those 2 people who had died, which made the placebo group have 1 extra dead body. Had they counted those 2, then the Pfizer arm would have had more deaths than the placebo. So there was a lot of things that were actually being done in the background, which was quite disturbing. Now, as far as Fauci going, I've just seen a lot of his emails, and I find his emails really disturbing, besides the fact that he was trying to push the proximal origin theory onto other scientists, and that was all in his emails, even though there were other scientists who were fully aware that this was not the case and it was completely genetically impossible for it to be the case, because he has the control of giving money to all their grants.
Yep.
So, of course, if you have that control, the scientist will do whatever he says. Plus, he's got his lovely wife, Dr. Christine Grady, who works for the NIH. I don't know how many of you are aware of that. And she's she's the chief bioethics commissioner in
ethics, you say?
Bioethics.
Ethics.
So she
Bioethics.
bioethics.
So you buy ethics.
No.
Correct. So you buy the ethics, and he does the he provides the.
Well, he's got the money from all the grants, and he's just buying the ethics, and it's all good,
so
right?
It's all completely covered. Like
Right.
I was just watching. He's pleading the fifth, and you've got a whole heap of vaccine injured people watching this, going, "Well, where's the accountability? Where is the accountability?"
Well, speaking of accountability, I mean, as I said before, I mean, it would have been nice for the accountability to have come in 2022. That would have been fantastic. But it is coming now, and better late than never. So we played the cold open of Josh Hawley grilling Dr. Fauci. I think it's worth playing it again. So this is Josh Hawley. He's a senator in the US. I can't remember. I think it's Ohio or somewhere.
I'd have to check.
Yeah, I'll have to check exactly where he's from. But this is him giving it to Fauci.
Well, nothing says honesty like taking the fifth, huh, Doc? Let's try something. What day of the week is it today?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color tie are you wearing?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color is the carpet in front of you?
On the advice of counsel, I respect.
Okay, so I think people get the idea.
This is what's going to get him in trouble, because this
So it was Missouri. He was
Missouri. Yep.
Okay.
because that's why he's been brought up on contempt of Congress. So he clearly is avoiding questions he can answer.
Yeah.
And so just recently, in the
But
last
as
couple of days,
Josh Hawley said, you don't have that right to plead the fifth because you've been pardoned. So
Well-
his lawyers would have known that. His lawyers would have known the consequences of that. So, well, why
Yeah.
did they continue along that line?
it's tricky. The pardon starts from 2014,
Yeah.
which I think is when he funded the Wuhan lab. So
Yeah.
that's one of the big questions. Why did the pardon start in 2014?
Yeah.
What happened
So
between
they knew
2014
they
and
knew they had something
2020?
to cover up.
Right. So another thing is that the pardon doesn't protect you from states prosecuting you, and so states attorney generals are considering whether they can prosecute Fauci. The problem that stands in their way is what they call I think it's the supremacy clause, which basically means that states cannot prosecute someone acting in a federal capacity under their federal role. So states have to overcome that supremacy clause in order to charge him, but they still can. Like, for instance, during the JFK assassination, none of the federal agencies tried to try that case, the idea of the conspiracy. But in the movie JFK, it was an attorney general from New Orleans that made a state case against the people that he thought was involved in that criminal conspiracy. I think it was a conspiracy to murder. So there is this kind of the federal government has its federal laws that they can prosecute under, and the states can prosecute under state law.
Yeah.
But so it's not necessary. He's not clear from the states if they can come up with a way to avoid the supremacy clause.
And did Fauci show contempt?
by not answering those questions, that's the argument.
Yeah,
There's another argument. The other argument is he's actually started with an introduction. And when you start with an introduction, apparently legally you can't plead the fifth, according to...
But he's got a whole bunch of lawyers sitting behind him. Surely they would know that.
Well, look, a bunch of lawyers... I don't know, but one of the best lawyers, I think, is Aaron Sirian. He put out, I think there was 4 different ways that he can be held in contempt. There is a clip. I should have actually sent it to you. But yeah, there is. And there's 3 states after him, which is Florida, West Virginia, and Louisiana. So all of those are trying to do something.
One of the other problems with the contempt charge is if you're going to go under a federal charge, you get tried in the DC circuit, and the DC circuit is nuts. It is a very left-leaning, apologetic for government power.
I mean, I don't understand this though, but why the left covering for it? Because they got lied to as well. All those lefties out there that took the jab and were told that it was safe and effective.
Well,
I mean, it doesn't matter what side of politics you're on. You were all lied.
They still think it's safe and effective.
There's people still wearing masks in cars alone.
I looked at the percentage of people that took the latest COVID booster by party affiliation. For people above 65, 80% of Democrats were taking the COVID booster, where it was like less than 30% of Republicans. So there are a lot of people who still really believe that this is safe and effective.
You know what?
In fact, the latest PD
makes more sense. They've got to import their voter base because they're wiping them out through.
Look at the FDA choice.
The CDC choice.
Sorry, the CDC choice.
Yes.
The new choice for the CDC. I mean,
she said that mRNA shots are safe and effective,
but
and she just got confirmed.
Yeah, she just got confirmed. Yeah.
So and then the latest mRNA flu shot just get FDA approved. So that's a new a new mRNA injection that just got FDA approval. Now one of the things that if you want to be really cynical, why would the Trump administration allow that? Well, because the vast majority of people who would take that shot are going to be his political enemies. So if you want to be really cynical, you could say, well, if you want to call the opposition, mRNA.
I don't know about that one, but
if you look at the results, interestingly, if you look at the results of this flu vaccine, the mRNA was tested against, of course, not a placebo like you're supposed to, but another flu shot that wasn't mRNA. And you had 3 serious adverse events in the mRNA arm and 2 in the other one.
Interesting.
Right. Well, look, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be held to account. All 3 of you were in the United Australia Party at the time, and your leader at the time, Craig Kelly, was talking about ivermectin and how ivermectin could be used. I mean, Miley Tran, you mentioned her. She was treating people with ivermectin and lost her license. I mean, there's so many stories we could talk about that. I want to play this clip now because this is one of the senators. Is this Johnson? I'm not quite sure. I can't remember what his name is.
Ron Johnson on the left.
Is it Ron Johnson?
That's Ron Johnson.
Yep. Okay. He's asking Fauci about ivermectin. And of course, he pleads the fifth again. But here we go.
He's right here. There was a website that was tracking the random controlled studies. Here they are, showing 60, 70% efficacy of ivermectin. The same day you say there's no evidence, there was all kinds of evidence. Loved ones had to go to hospitals, had to sue hospitals. Just, would you try it? So I would want to know, to what extent were you involved in sabotaging hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, and did you do that because you knew the only way you get emergency use authorization for these drugs, these experimental gene therapy, was if there was no effective treatment, you couldn't get the emergency use authorization. So is that why you helped sabotage these cheap generic drugs in favor of remdesivir, which, by the way, nurses, are you aware of the fact that nurses called it run, death is near?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to.
It just gets better and better.
I mean, it's like a comedy it's a comedy. It's like someone was writing one of those spoof shows back in the day, Faulty Tower,
like Chappelle show.
Whatever. I mean, you couldn't write this stuff. I mean, this guy's the top bureaucrat in the country, the leading
highest paid person in
Yep.
the federal government.
And he's going around going, I'm the science, and he's going around saying, I'll answer any questions. And he goes to this and he can't answer basic questions. Like, what good is he? If not we, but if the American people were employing him to be accountable in these circumstances and he's not being accountable, what's the point? Should we say, or should the Americans say, okay, well, if you're not going to answer these questions, then refund all the money that you were paid during your time as the head of the department, because you need to be accountable.
Absolutely, he should be accountable. I mean,
prison would be the right.
Prison and hurt the hip pocket. Sorry, he should have his hip pocket hurt. And Run Death is Near was in every country. I'm sorry, I had people that I knew who were friends that were nurses, and they knew all about that statement. It was readily out there, which is quite scary, really.
Look at the ABC's title: Unhinged COVID-19 hearing.
I want to get to this, but I'll get to this in a second. But this stuff about ivermectin, if it was so effective, and they've come out and they've said you can't use it, how many lives were lost because of that? Because that's murder, manslaughter, or something.
Probably millions. I would. Because that's the number.
Because look at India. India treated their COVID outbreak with ivermectin.
Not just India. It was Uttar Pradesh in India that pretty much got rid of COVID, and it was also Bangladesh. And when you compared Bangladesh to Australia, Bangladesh and Australia have very similar populations, and they fared far better than we did.
Yeah.
And they gave out doxycycline, ivermectin and zinc as a package, as did Uttar Pradesh.
Yeah.
Although I'm not sure.
If anyone's interested, the book by Pierre Corey, The War on Ivermectin, documents how they manipulated the studies.
Yep.
So there were a lot of really good small studies that showed efficacy and safety for ivermectin when you give the proper dose at the proper time. But what they did with the hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin trials is to give the wrong dose at the wrong time, and to try to muddy the results so that it was no longer statistically significant. But that's well documented in Pierre Corey's book.
Yeah.
And what is FI? What language? What language is that?
That's from the Chappelle Show.
Is that Latin or something?
You'll have to watch the Chappelle.
Okay, all right.
It might be a bit before your time.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Is any? I mean, I think the ivermectin point is a massive thing because, again, a lot of people.
How much money can you get selling ivermectin?
Well, it was a horse.
Compared to vaccine.
It was a horse dewormer. You know, who said go home wheezy, or which comedian did the wheezy joke?
That Kimmel, I think.
Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel. That was it.
The thing is, ivermectin has a lot more uses than just COVID, and people are finding out about it. And I think that might have been worse. Pharmaceutical profits would be worse. Everyone's getting cured and all this, like we lose our income.
Well, it won a Nobel Prize for 2015.
And it's cheap.
But it's not for horses.
Yeah,
it didn't win a prize for horses. It won a prize for human use.
African river blindness, was it? That what it was?
Something like that, yeah. And it's got the safest profile. It's safer than Panadol. So
Panadol. You know, I don't know how safe Panadol is.
It's not.
We won't go
people
down
get liver failure from Panadol regularly.
Okay, so Robert just brought this up because we have it on the screen.
Sorry.
So this is the ABC coverage of what happened. Fauci refuses to answer question in unhinged COVID-19 hearing.
Well, the media is complicit all over the place. So
the Guardian's
they
done
mean
another
the screws
hit
came off the door. Unhinged, right?
Yeah. Okay. So it says the former top U.S. infectious disease expert declines to answer questions at a Republican-led Senate hearing about the origins of COVID-19 and Dr. Fauci's handling of the pandemic. Dr. Fauci declared the questioning an unhinged campaign to see him imprisoned, while Republicans asked more than 100 questions. Well, I think that's fair enough, asking 200 questions. The decision shielded Dr. Fauci from answering questions that could expose him to accusations of lying under oath. Now, look, that's a pretty basic, article. You're probably asking yourself, so Stephen, why did you put the ABC up there? The reason I put that up there is because I wanted to see where this article was on their newsline. I wanted to see if it was going to be their top story because I think this is a significant story. I think it's a significant event. And I think I counted at the time, I think it was about 36 articles were in front of it.
Oh,
Wow.
It
right.
was. I had to
not,
go.
not 111.
Oh, not
I
111.
tried to bury the whole thing.
I had to scroll way down the page to be able to find this article. Now, some of the articles that were ahead of it, I'll show you right now. So there was firstly this one. I'm not going to bring up all 30 articles, but these were some of the ones that really stood out. Small batch producer fears broader impacts of country of origin labeling thrown into doubt. So I think obviously, I guess that's a more pressing story than what happened with Fauci.
Oh, well, yeah.
So that was the first one that really stood out to me. Then there was this story here that I'll bring up.
Oh, God.
Okay. Rare snails thought to be extinct settle in new home on Norfolk Island. So obviously that story is way more important than the Fauci stuff. So
our taxes pay for this.
Yeah, our taxes pay for this. And this was the final story that really topped it for me. I think this is way more important than what happened with Fauci. Book returned to New South Wales Library 150 years after being borrowed.
Wow. Hang on. That's actually a really important story because the book was one page that said that I plead the fifth. That's why. It's got to be. Steve, it's got to be.
But Natalie said this is our national broadcaster that's meant to be broadcasting news, important news to every Australian person out there. They get a huge budget over $1 billion. I think it's like $2 billion budget.
Really?
Wow. Yeah.
ABC?
Of our money.
I think it's 1.5 billion or something. That's
I
why.
reckon that book got brought back so it wouldn't be chopped up by Palantir and destroyed.
AI scanning.
I mean, but it is completely consistent. I mean, the media was complicit. Both parties were consistent. They would love this story just to go away. And that is probably the most important thing. I mean, do I think that Fauci is going to go to prison where he belongs? No, but the fact that it's being kept alive by this hearing matters.
But it goes to show, I mean, if it wasn't for podcasts like this, I mean, there's plenty of other podcasts out there covering it, but maybe a number of media outlets might be covering it, but some of them are behind paywalls. Like here in Australia, like I suppose Sky News is behind a paywall if you're not in the country.
Some are just covering for him.
Yeah. Well, hey, Sky News was complicit.
But don't forget ABC. The government in charge during the lockdowns was not the Labor government.
Yeah.
It was the Liberals. So the ABC just does whatever the government tells them to. That's what I heard. That Scott Morrison said, "You guys, here's an extra lot of money. This is what," and they're like, "Okay," because where do they get their funding from?
Well,
so
that could have been defunded for decades. They've been like this for an awfully long time. So the Liberals had all the opportunity in the world to get rid of the ABC and this kind of rubbish, but they haven't done it. Neither have Labor. So,
yeah,
that's propaganda.
We are here.
That's the situation that we're in this country and probably in other countries right around the world as well. Real news like this. I mean, this is a major hearing. A Senate hearing. I mean, that should have been out there. I mean, yes, we're in Australia. It's not America, but it's something that
we got the same injections.
Yeah,
and his
same decisions.
6 foot rule, the mask was him.
It's all him. Yeah,
it was all made up. The 6 foot rule, he actually admitted in another hearing.
That's right.
It was a completely made up rule. He pulled it out of his where the sun don't shine.
He got it from that book.
You walk into shops now, they've still got the sticker on the floor.
Yeah, that's true.
What's worse is when you walk past some sort of pharmacy and like, get your COVID shots. I'm like, why?
Well, look, I mean, this is being played out here in Australia, or at least in the New South Wales Parliament. This is John Ruddick talking about what happened with Fauci and how that might be implicated here in Australia.
Regarding questions under oath about his leadership of the COVID psychodrama, and this is in spite of President Biden's highly questionable pardon. That in 2022, Dr. Fauci publicly declared, quote, "I am very happy to testify before any congressional oversight committee. I have nothing to hide. I can explain and validate everything that I've done," end quote.
I am very happy to testify before
of COVID. That Dr. Fauci's diaries entries make it clear that he knew very early on that COVID was a tweaked regular flu, and that while it may have posed an enhanced danger to the sick and the elderly, it was within the range of a standard flu season and certainly well short of justifying any of the draconian measures inflicted upon us. That in New South Wales, the Chief Health Officer, Dr. Kerry Chant, implemented policies heavily influenced by this flawed Dr. Fauci advice, recommending prolonged lockdowns, vaccine mandates and school disruptions that inflicted severe economic damage, learning loss, mental health harm and eroded public trust, while similarly stating that she would be, quote, very happy to front inquiries, yet offering limited accountability for the catalogue of failures. That this House calls on the New South Wales Government to A, immediately dismiss Dr Kerry Chant as the Chief Health Officer of New South Wales for her central role in imposing Fauci-inspired costly and coercive measures based on incomplete and later disproven evidence. B, conduct a New South Wales Royal Commission into all matters related to the period of COVID mania, and in particular the all but compulsory warp speed vaccines.
Good for him.
Yeah, so thank God we've got people like John Ruddick in the New South Wales Parliament pushing for this stuff. Unfortunately, his colleagues are not don't have that same sort of conviction. You could see Tanya Mihalik playing there on her phone behind that. She's always on her phone.
I'm surprised people aren't busy in the back washing the blood off their hands.
Imagine the Greens. Imagine the Greens. But I mean, my question about all this to everyone out there is, why is Australia following instead of being a completely sovereign nation? Why are we not looking at every single medication ourselves? Yes, it's expensive, but then let's cut the bureaucracy in other areas.
Well, that's what the TGA is meant to be
doing. But the TGA follows, if Pfizer does a trial, they follow the Pfizer trial. They follow the American FDA and CDC. They follow the WHO. We shouldn't be following. We should be leading. We should be testing, because our population is our currency, and yet we do not do that. So I feel that the TGA is incredibly complicit in turning a blind eye and not doing anything about testing. And we can look at all of the Fauci emails. People can start assessing them. There have been. There are now 34,000 messages on a phone that have been released. I'm sure that's going to be analysed in the next few weeks. That'll bring out some interesting lies.
Well, they do call it big pharma for a reason. These companies are
global,
huge. Like, I mean, they have, obviously they've bought out heaps of politicians, and I don't know how, it's obvious. Like,
yeah, but forget the politicians. I mean, what about the bureaucrat? You know, Kerry Chant. She was the one standing up there,
lobbyists,
telling
same thing.
Yeah. Lobbyists,
I mean,
big pharma lobbyists.
I mean, if there's accountability and she's to be held accountable for the things that the health advice that we kept being told the politicians were following. I mean, Gladys isn't there anymore. Brad Hazard isn't there anymore. Even Greg Hunt isn't there anymore, and you sent me that clip of him talking about it being a trial,
world's biggest trial on national television, and yet nobody paid attention. It's actually mind-boggling.
Yeah, so those politicians aren't there anymore, but Kerry Chant's still there. She still retains her role.
Wow,
shouldn't that be held accountable? I mean,
100%.
As John Ruddick is saying, she probably should be fired.
She should be fired
at a minimum.
At a minimum.
Because I mean, people like me lost my job.
Oh, I remember
because of
you vaccinated.
Yeah, I should get that clip. I should be playing that clip.
So the TGA is 96% funded by Big Pharma. So we shouldn't really be surprised, because how can you fund Big Pharma's funding somebody who's meant to be actually overseeing what they're doing? So how can they oversee their biggest funder?
Yeah,
I mean, it's ridiculous. It's like, you know, you've got a safety seat for a child, and they do all this testing, and they pay the regulator to approve it. You can't.
Yeah. Look, it's I mean, I'm glad stuff like what we saw in America with the Senate hearing is happening. I think there's some accountability slowly coming out, but we've been calling for this since 2022 and probably a little bit before that, and it's not happening probably fast enough. I mean, the truth comes out eventually, but there are people like Kerry Chant, like Dr. Fauci, they're getting paid big money to make these decisions, and who's holding them accountable? And I just think that, you know, if it wasn't for politicians like John Ruddick and maybe Malcolm Roberts and other people out there, I mean, a lot of people that were in the parliaments at the time that did call for accountability and did question this sort of stuff, they're not there anymore. Jared Reddick, Russell Broadbent, Craig Kelly, George Christensen, I mean, the list goes on. They lost their jobs as well, essentially.
Yep.
So there's a lot of people that were, you know, adversely affected by this. It's time for the people that were making these decisions to be adversely affected and maybe lose their income, I think.
100%.
Yep. So that's everything I've got on COVID. Anything that anyone wants to, I mean, you sent me some.
I have one.
Stuff as well.
One quick thought. There are a couple of cracks in the wall as far as people on the political left who are finally kind of waking up to this. Bill Maher, if you saw, you know, he's a very far left comedian who is finally calling out the lies of Fauci from his diary. And there's also someone who, sportscaster, who apologized to I think it's Kyle Irving, someone who was sidelined for not a New York Knicks basketball player who was sidelined for not taking the jab, and he called him a coward at the time, and now he says, I retract that. I'm sorry. This person was very courageous. So you are seeing some people kind of take another look at their conduct.
Well, you've seen that here in Australia with Carl Stefanovic. I mean,
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if you're following Carl's stuff.
Not as much.
What do you feel about that?
I mean, I did see actually him. I think it's good character. I mean, we were all.
A lot of people don't trust that. They say, you don't get a second chance.
I completely disagree with that.
Yeah.
I think it is a way to, if you don't welcome people showing character in that way, you're going to get a lot less of it. And what we need is a real groundswell of support for accountability that comes from people saying, yeah, I was wrong. Because we were all wrong about something.
Yeah,
of course.
And we were all lied to as well.
We were all lied to.
Yep.
People unite. I mean, we need to unite
100%,
communities, and it doesn't
100%.
matter where they're from. We actually have to welcome them and somehow find a
100%.
common language.
Yeah, definitely.
But yes, the email, I did want to mention this. So in Fauci emails that have been recently released, and this is why he should be held quite accountable and obviously probably won't. There was a few emails dating back to 2021, January, and that one in particular is from December.
Yep.
And what it was, a conversation between him and a doctor called David Ho. Basically, it states that the vaccine, if you can read it there, it did start talking about the fact that the efficacy of the vaccine was wavering for the new variants. So Fauci was well aware of this. This was December 2020, and the next email was in January 2021. And he states in the next one, which is fascinating, that they definitely decreased by 2 to 3-fold in their potency. That's January 2021. Do you remember when the Australian rollout was?
January 2021.
Yeah, when was the Australian rollout?
The very
March.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
When they
this was
started.
after this. So we had the exact same vaccines rolled out in Australia for the alpha and beta variant when Fauci was discussing the fact that their potency was wavering because of the variants changing. And I think this is very, very pertinent as a point that nobody was looking at this data.
Yep.
Wow.
And at the end of the year, everyone got sick anyway. I remember the end of that year,
Absolutely.
and when what was it called, Omicron rolled through, and everyone.
150 million vaccine shots bought. I don't know what happened.
I still can't believe we lived through that period.
It's
it is
quite
surreal.
phenomenal, isn't
Yeah.
it? I mean, one
It
more
is
thing with
surreal.
my mother I found fascinating. I decided to test if she's still producing spike protein because I just found it fascinating. And I sent her bloods to Germany. And what came back was that her plasma and in her exosomes, there was still spike protein from the vaccine. She stated clearly it was from the vaccine.
They could tell that.
They could tell it was from the vaccine. We don't have testing like that in Australia. And they basically said that because it's in the exosome, it implies that a tissue or an organ is still producing the spike protein in her body.
Right.
When was the last one?
Her last vaccine was 4 years ago.
And when
now,
was
but
the
this-
testing?
4 years ago.
The test was in August last year, which was 3.5 years post her Moderna shot, which actually injured her.
There have been cancers that they've taken out that they've found the specific vaccine genome. Not the disease, but the specific vaccine genome in the cancer replicating. So there have been cases like that. It can happen. We just don't know how often it happens.
And does this stuff get transmitted in any sort of way? So if someone is still producing the spike protein, don't touch me. But I mean, for these people walking around going, "I'm a pure blood. I'm fine. I didn't take it." I mean, do they have anything to be concerned about?
I mean, there's been discussions about shedding, but that's different than they're not getting the lipid nanoparticles injections, so I don't think
So it can't travel around the body as well.
That wouldn't. That's my understanding. But
Because the lipid nanoparticle is the thing that takes it through the body.
right.
So the way it works is the mRNA itself is within a lipid nanoparticle bubble. It's like a fat bubble.
Yep.
So this actually drags the messenger RNA into a cell, into the nucleus, and forces the cell to produce the spike protein. Now, we could have picked the nuclear capsid of the virus instead of the spike protein, which is toxic, which would have been much smarter because if it's producing the outer shell that's not toxic, then perhaps we wouldn't have these issues, or maybe we would. I don't know. And the other problem that these actual vaccines have is their manufacturing process was in a vat of E. coli bacteria because that's cheap. It's cheap and nasty. And when you wash that off, the DNA of the E. coli still exists. It can be fragmented, and within a lipid nanoparticle, it goes into your cells as well. So there's DNA contamination, and it's been tested with multiple labs, way above allowable doses, and it's allowable doses of when it's not in a lipid nanoparticle. So there's a dosage. They haven't worked out the one within a lipid nanoparticle. This is way above the naked DNA, which makes a big difference.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, I mean, we could talk about COVID forever, but I guess we should move on to some other issues because a lot is happening in the world and a lot has happened in the last 2 weeks. The other big thing that's happened in the world is this migrant invasion, you might call it, in Ceuta. I think is it Ceuta, Paul?
Well, I mean that
Spain.
The name of the town.
The name of it. I think it's
Spain.
Yeah. So this is Spain here. You can see Spain and Portugal, and then on the southern side here is Morocco. So where Ceuta is, it's actually right here on the northern tip of Morocco. So right there. So it is Spanish territory, despite the fact that it is on the Moroccan side, and that's where the footage was being seen of all the migrants swimming around the border. Actually, so forget about building a wall; you'd have to build a wall out at sea.
Hope they've been practicing their swimming.
Yeah. So this is some of the footage that was seen. This was actually on the Moroccan side, but was some of the migrants, I suppose you could say, getting dumped out of the back of a truck. So I don't know how long they were in that truck for.
All young men.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, where are the women and the children?
Yeah, well, probably the clip that displays it even better than that one is this border here. So again, I mean, I wanted to raise the same point that you guys just made as well. Is where are the women and children? It's all young men. Look at this.
Army-aged, they're all army-aged men. There's no old men. They're all young.
So I'm sure if you lived in this little coastal community in Ceuta, this would be very confronting. I mean, people that, even if they are peaceful people, you don't know that. I mean, the new arrivals, you still have to vet whether these people are above board or not. I mean, I guess, how would you guys feel if you were living here in Australia? And that was one of the questions someone posed to me. Could this happen here in Australia? I mean, we're seeing this in Western countries right around the world. So I guess, how would you feel if this was to happen here in Australia? I mean, it is we are seeing mass migration here, but we're not seeing borders flooded like this. But the other question as well is, why is this happening? What's the agenda behind it?
Yeah, who wants to start?
I can start.
Who wants to roll the dice?
I'm happy to start. For me, this is destabilization of countries. I mean, when you divide a country, you conquer a country, and when you bring into a civilized world, maybe third world or second world, and their cultures are very different, they can't always coexist. I mean, they can, but not in a very, very peaceful way. Unfortunately, when you destabilize a country, you can control the population fairly well with governments. I mean, I think there's a very left-leaning government in Spain in existence right now, and he's literally allowed this to happen. I don't know if you guys saw, there was a girl who was filming.
I've got that one.
Yeah. So did you know she went missing?
Did she really?
She was missing for 10 hours and nobody knows what happened to her. Have not heard a word. Her mother was bawling her eyes out, trying to call her. She was missing for 10 hours, and she was welcoming these boys into Spain.
Yeah, so this is the clip here.
Are you talking about her?
Yeah, I was going to ask, does anyone know if she's alive?
So she's filming it saying, "Come on in, come on in."
She didn't answer her phone for 10 hours.
Now, I had to do a little bit of digging for that clip, because when I first put it in, it said, AI said to me that was an AI clip. It wasn't real. I had to do it. I mean, that looks real. I mean, I know AI is getting very, very good, but I did a little bit more digging, and no, that's a real clip. But some AI platforms are saying no, it was fake.
Mm.
And then there are some AI ones that are faked where, she's welcoming them in the, and then they grab her and take her away and all that sort of stuff. I mean, there are AI clips out there like that, but that's pretty clear footage. I guess it shows that the young ones are, I guess,
they're open to it,
more open to it, to see this sort of stuff happening. I mean, it does beg the question for, some of the old cronies like us, maybe we look at something like this and say, how terrible is it? But is it a terrible thing? I mean, is this a good thing? I mean, if we have this open world,
is it a good thing to let in more people to strain the already strained system? I mean, Spain, if you know the history of Spain, has been conquered a number of times.
Yeah.
And that was around geopolitical, religious, right? So for me, I think have you heard of there's a place in South Africa called Auraria, or it's like a whites only town, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not advocating
in South Africa.
They've started their own town,
gated community,
gated. You need to apply to join. They only let Afrikaners in, which are the Dutch. Not even the English South African, right? It has to be Dutch, Afrikaans speaking. And self-sustained. I've watched documentaries on it because people go there like they're racist. They get black YouTubers and stuff, or Muslims or whatever, go in, and they're like, oh, actually, everyone was really nice, and they just want to be left alone, but they don't have diversity.
Yeah.
Like one guy actually said that. He goes, they've got everything. Like you can leave bikes there, kids are playing on the street.
Do you see what happened? There's communities in South Africa that are white that are not gated communities, and they have
a lot of problems.
And they have a lot of problems, a lot of poverty because they can't get work because there's this.
Well, I think the stats on that is something like, I don't know exactly, but I was listening to it just yesterday and the day before, but basically not many people are earning an income above the average. A lot of people are below some poverty line.
I mean, the country's
and the corruption. So they're drawing money from the top, and there's not enough coming from the bottom.
But I did see one clip, and maybe it's an isolated incident, maybe it's not, where I guess a community worker came to one of these white communities where the kids are starving, and they brought some rice and food and stuff like that. And they're putting it together, they're cooking it, and all of a sudden the black people, the black Africans come in and just take it all and just walk off with it and leave the white kids starving. I mean, you could probably find examples of whites doing that to blacks. I mean, if you're looking for the bad in something, you'll find it. If you're looking for the good in something, you'll find it. But this stuff is happening in South Africa, and that's a result of mixing all these cultures together. And I think
you're bringing people in who are you're bringing them en masse, and how are they going to integrate? Because integration takes time.
Of course.
Right. And on top of that, I think like both my parents are immigrants. They're from I don't look like it, but my parents are from the Middle East.
I think it's worked pretty well in Australia. I think Paul, you might want to, you've probably done a bit more traveling.
Paul is the immigrant.
What do you mean? So am I. I wasn't born here.
I think Australia has done it pretty well, but we did it, I guess it
was slow.
Not slow, but it was controlled.
Compared to now,
they've vet the immigrants. When we came to Australia in 1978 from the former USSR, and now I feel like I'm back in the USSR. But anyway,
there's a song like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know. I feel like singing it on a daily basis. But when we actually came, it was difficult to enter the country. It wasn't easy. They vetted you. They literally vetted you. You had to learn English. You had to wait to get your citizenship. And people who came to this country actually loved this country. So they were very nationalistic, not in a right-wing kind of way, but they were grateful that a country gave them the opportunities to work, to make money, to educate their children. They wanted to integrate.
Because they're comparing to what they came from.
They came from, and they were given so much. And yet, okay, a lot of my friends are still Russian, Lithuanian, Latvian, and from the culture that I was born. There's nothing wrong with that. But each and every one of us love our country. We're very patriotic. If Australia's playing volleyball or whatever, we're always going for Australia. But this is where the present day migrant falls apart. We have people burning the Australian flag. I'm sorry. How is that patriotic? I mean,
it's obviously not.
You wouldn't dare. Like
You know, in Russia, you can't burn the Russian flag.
No, because Putin would put you.
Not just Putin. The Russian people will do something about it.
Yeah,
but in Australia, burning or America, it's crazy. That's crazy.
I don't think it should be.
I love this.
Yeah, I love it too. I mean, I don't think it should be. I don't think it should be a criminal offence or anything like that.
I actually do think you shouldn't be able to burn that in Australia.
I think if you want freedom and if you advocate for freedom, then that should be a freedom if you want to do it. But in saying that, I think it goes back to how you educate people and how you educate the youth and how you instill pride in the nation. People shouldn't even be thinking about burning the flag. They should be so grateful to be here. That's where we've gone wrong. I don't think you just crack the whip and say, well, if you do it, we're gonna fine you.
That's part of a high trust society. And if you bring, that's what I'm saying, if you bring people en masse from a different culture, different understanding, who think they're, I don't know, sometimes might think they're better than the place they're going to, that's going to put things out of
But you're educating
But you shouldn't travel if you shouldn't immigrate to a place that if you don't really appreciate the place you're going. I mean, I'm an immigrant and a son of immigrants as well. And my parents came to the United States. They were very grateful to the United States for everything that it provided. And, you know, it's a culture of, you know, mixing pot of all kinds of different people who come there to
the land of the free.
Yeah, to appreciate the United States. I traveled to 50 different countries, and Australia was the first place that felt like home because of the culture here. I mean, it does have a particular culture, and you know, and I personally don't think that if I come here as an immigrant that I should be able to vote because I'm hitching my wagon to your train. You know, the idea, you know, like I came here because I appreciated it. And, you know, the idea that people would come who don't want to integrate or who don't appreciate it, they should not come. And they shouldn't be allowed to come either.
I guess one of the leading voices in Europe where this is happening is Nigel Farage. I mean, he's in the UK, the leader of the Reform Party. This is what he had to say of this, and this is how he reacted.
Up, everybody. No, I really mean it. Just have a look at these scenes. This is happening today in Ceuta, the Spanish enclave in North Africa. Yep, it is Spanish territory. Tens of thousands, maybe more, breaking in to that little part of Spain. The authorities seemingly powerless to act. And yes, of course, they've declared a state of emergency. Bear this in mind. Earlier this year, Spain gave an amnesty to 500,000 people who'd illegally got into the country. The messages from Spain are clear. You know, come in and you'll be allowed to stay. Some of you might remember a poster I put out 10 years ago called Breaking Point, where I showed vast numbers illegally breaking into the European Union. I made the point that if we vote for Brexit, we'll have the power to stop those people coming here. Sadly, the Tories failed us, Labour have failed us. Believe me, unless we get a reform government, those scenes you're seeing in Spain today, many of those young men, lots of them dangerous, will be heading towards Calais and coming to our country too. It is time to wake up. This is a battle for the future of our civilization. I can't put it any more plainly than that.
Okay, so he finishes off by saying this is a battle for our civilization. It's a battle for Europe. I mean, is that how you guys see it? Is this a battle for Western civilization, what we're seeing in Spain and other parts of the world?
Well, yeah, I mean, Western civilization, you talked about freedom before that, you know, I mean, I think some things you need to put into law to protect, right? More protection. It's not libertarian, right? That's it. Yeah, and you're like, Steve's like, yeah, I knew I'll get him to agree. Yeah.
I haven't shit-canned the libertarians for a long time. I need to get back.
Yeah, I'm surprised you even had John Ruddy. No, John, we love you, John. We love you.
Yeah. He's one of those sensible ones, maybe.
Yeah, when you agree with me. So look, Europe basically has been, in a sense, they've been monolithic societies based on a group of people, like, you know, English, French, German, and so on. That's Europe. Yes, they've fought each other a lot too, right? Yeah. And so, you know, before all of our time, it was the British that spread across the planet. I think they invaded all but 8 countries in the world, right? So, look, you can hate that or love it, that has been the history of humankind in my belief since the Garden of Eden. Okay,
Well, it could have been a lot worse, because I know a lot of you might call them, well, they classify themselves as coloured people. They say, I moved to Australia because it was a British country.
Yeah,
I wanted to live in a British country because it was better organised and better run, and there was a rule of law. And
this is what I say to people who want to espouse communism to me. I'm like, well, capitalism is the best that we've got. It might not be perfect what you're saying, because your utopia of everything free and healthy and good, and no, we have a reality, and this is the best we've got. And at the time, that was. They were the best because they were the strongest. You don't become the strongest because you're not the best. It's seriously, like, if you study the history of how they had to form on an island. Remember, Europe, the other Europeans had the rest of Europe. They could, like, but the UK was on an island and it rains 80% of the year. So I've sort of looked into it, and it's like, oh, how did they manage to work together? Because you had all these different tribes, essentially.
Yeah.
So look. It is in a sense a battle. It's ideological, you know, and it is about your lifestyle, like what Australia, as one of the Western countries, America offers, New Zealand. Of course, there seems to be, as we've talked about, there's a self-hating people, self-hating whites. You've got foreigners who hate the country, but you've also got foreigners who love this nation, right? Who like, no, Australia's great. You know, I know Senator Babette. He might not be born here, but he loves the flag. He loves Australia. He's constantly talking about that, and he's one of them. So, you know, if you're
Steve Christie's another one.
Who?
Steve Christie.
Yeah, Christie. Yeah. Is he actually born overseas?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah, but he drapes himself in the flag.
Hey man, I love Australia too, because this is the place I'm born. It's like the place that raised me.
Yeah.
And I know going back, we talked about
you raised something that I want to touch on, because it drives me crazy, right? You talked about the British and what they achieved. I mean, take the British side out of it and just focus on the humanity, right, of these people that would travel halfway across the world in these rickety timber boats, and they would set up these civilizations. I mean, what they achieved here in Australia, again, take the British part out of it if you want.
I mean, just the actual people,
the actual humanity of these people coming halfway across the world where they don't have supply routes, they can't easily get supplies, so they
couldn't plead the fifth, so they became convicts.
So whatever they've got is on the boat with them, and they've built this first class society.
They literally brought cows over on the boats, right?
That should be celebrated as a feat of humanity, and it's not. It's top where our youth are told it was an invasion, and you should be guilty because of it, and you should be ashamed of it. No,
you've hit the nail on the head. You've got a whole generations. It's not even one generation, but you've got generations of youth that feel guilty. So because they've been made to feel guilty because of the stolen generation and all the rest of the stuff that goes with it, they've decided, well, we'll just welcome everybody else who's going through whatever crap they're going through.
And you know what's funny about that? If we're going to welcome anybody, why does it matter who invaded who? Because you're letting everyone else in. Why is it we're letting everyone else in, but before when the British came, how dare they come? I thought it's open borders.
That's one of the ways, you know, it's a dishonest conversation.
That's right.
Because it's not the standards aren't applied reciprocally.
No.
And for instance, you know, Australia needs multiculturalism, but an uncontacted tribe somewhere in Africa doesn't need a whole bunch of white Christians.
The Amazon.
You know, so it's definitely a one-way thing. Is that the places that we want to change need multiculturalism, but that does not go in reverse. So you know it's not an honest conversation. It's
no. Hold that thought when you say it's not an honest conversation. I'll play this clip now. This is a bishop. I don't know what country he's from. It just popped up on my Instagram. But this is Bishop Schneider. I think I said that right. I mean, just listen to what he has to say.
We're witnessing an invasion. They are not refugees. No, this is an invasion of mass Islamization of Europe, and so this is a global political agenda by the powerful of the world to destroy Europe culturally and religiously. I mean, to destroy Christianity ultimately in Europe.
Okay, so this is a bishop saying this. I mean, he's talking about the agenda to destroy Europe. I mean,
There was another clip. I don't know if you'll be able to find it, but there was recently a pastor in Dearborn, Michigan, in America.
Yeah.
And he went, Dearborn, Michigan's, there's a lot of Muslims there. And he went and he was talking about, he was preaching Christianity in the street, and he got punched and attacked by a mob of them. He had to get taken away in a police car. So, look, there is violent aspects to it. And I've, I come from a Armenian Orthodox background, and like they've had their history with Islam, as had all of the peninsula of North Africa and the Mediterranean.
I guess my question is, I mean, if this stuff's happening around the world,
it's always been happening.
When do we acknowledge the agenda? When do we point it out and say, hey, something's not right here? Civilizations seem to be having to deal with this, and it could be tearing our civilizations apart. I mean, are we at war? Are we at war with an agenda that's coming from somewhere?
When people stop worried about being called a racist, it's as simple as that.
But it's clearly being funded and organized in various places.
Sure.
Even like the Red Cross and the Roman Catholic Church were funding a lot of the
NGOs and stuff.
NGOs and the illegal immigration into the United States, and it was also being funded. Somehow they lobbied the government in order to fund the very organizations that were creating this wave of illegal immigration. Is it being done because they wanted to import voters? Because that's definitely one part. Is it being done by UN open society organizations that are looking to destabilize the West? I mean, Klaus Schwab, or I think was it Klaus Schwab, had a statue of Lenin behind him. These international organizations, may very well have an objective to destroy Western civilization.
So again,
I'm not sure, but one way or the other, it needs to be stopped.
But how much? You say you're not sure, and I understand why you're saying that. But I mean, when does it get to the point where it's like, okay, well, this is clear. We're clearly we're clearly being subjected to this stuff because there is an agenda.
Yep.
And we need to, I guess, push back against it somehow.
Well, this is why we need to have a sovereign country, which is not subject to agendas outside of the sovereignty of our country. And unfortunately, somewhere we've gotten lost and we just follow whatever's going on everywhere else, not to such an extent, because we've got migration coming in now. But I think, I don't know if you guys have looked up the statistics of workers and essential workers that we need for Australia.
Like yoga instructors.
Like yoga instructors. Well, no, I don't.
Well, that's high on the list with Albanese.
I don't think that's who's coming in. But a lot of the people coming in are not satisfying these essential worker tick boxes. Like we apparently need builders.
I came in on a points test, and and just like you, it was a lot of work in order to tick all the boxes. And are you filling an essential need for the country? And I completely respect that. If a country lets you in, it's because the local population who we're looking after and who elect us need certain things, and you let in a subset of people who appreciate it, agree to follow the law, can culturally assimilate, can speak the language, and have skills that are needed. Makes complete sense. But then at some point,
the opposite of when they come here and then just give them welfare and like they're doing in Spain.
Completely the opposite.
Spain actually.
Well, that's a communist construct, right?
Yeah,
so, and this is the thing, what people don't understand. Anybody who preaches communism has never lived in a communist country. Yeah. I'm from a socialist country. It wasn't even communist, but it was with all intended purposes.
I'll just say, the Spanish government, I remember they accused the Italians. They said the Spanish government called Italy's measures unjust, contrary to EU interest and discriminatory because
shut the border.
because Italy's like, hang on a second. Because they're like, oh, we're taking all these people in. It's like, well, don't do it. Why don't you look after the actual people in your country first?
Yep.
Right? I've always said that to help others, you need to actually be strong enough yourself, So I'm actually not against no migration at all. It's just not really possible. Yeah. I'm, that idea of let's pause immigration.
But you don't want trucks being pulled up at your border with all.
No, because
you want to vet the people. You want to look at their passports, their history. You want to know who's coming into your country. Yeah. I mean, that is the whole point of migration, is to analyze who is it. Who are you? Like,
what can you do for us?
It's not what we can do for you. Sure, there are some instances I do agree with. There's war-torn countries. Sure, we should have some migrants coming in where we can help people, but not en masse.
Yeah.
And vetting people.
Yeah. I think we pretty much agree on that. But I mean, I'm with you as well. I'm not against immigration. I think it should be controlled. And if we want to build the population of Australia, that's great. But let's have the services and the infrastructure and the roads and the rail and the hospitals and the schools, they're all built and in place first. It's like, when you're playing SimCity when you're growing up,
I used to do the cyclone. I used to break stuff up. Yeah. I used to like smash it down. Like,
if Richard Storch wasn't bad enough, now we'll go, at least you're doing it virtually.
No, look, I've always thought, especially over since getting into politics or trying to get in, I used to say to people like, why are we punch like it's like a cup. Country's like a cup. Yeah. You're filling it up, but you're punching holes at the bottom with low birth rates, abortions, don't have kids, self-hatred, and then you're filling up the top with migration just to keep the cup. I'm like, why don't we actually give tax benefits, for example, to two working parents, income splitting? Or another concept in America was like, if you're first time married, if you had up to 10 kids, they'd give you 100% off for a period of your tax. Because they're like, you are actually growing a society. Because people who tend to be born and raised in the country will have a bit more of an affinity to it.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, like I said, there's people who hate the country who are 4 generations deep. It's like, how can you hate the country your parents and grandparents built? I don't get that.
The system isn't designed to let ordinary people who grew up here succeed in their own country. It's not an accident. The powers that be want to keep people in debt. Housing star. I mean, you look at the outcomes, and you figure out, okay, well, what's upstream of that is hard to see, but the outcomes are clear. What they're trying to do.
I want to talk about the economy because this is something I've been talking about on this show for a lot recently, and Jared Renix is out there talking about the economy, and I think saying some great stuff. But before we get to the economy, I want to play this clip for you. I don't know if you saw this, Paul, or any. Or Rob or Natalie, this is something that was put out on the ABC regarding Gina Reinhardt.
That's my favorite lower house member, actually.
your mate Jerome Lexell. Let's play this.
Touchy Lexell.
Get both of your reaction.
Because when the revolution comes, will you hide under your bed? Or will you know exactly how to shove a stick right up Gina Reinhardt's butthole, stirring it around, mixing her guts up nice and smooth, making her into one big sausage roll to make something out of nothing.
Okay.
Wow.
I did see that.
I heard about it.
I saw it.
And I thought, the gay BC will be doing something like that. But we're paying for that. Great.
Can I just say the ABC, who really, really emotionally feel for so many people, go out and produce that.
Now, I just want to say they were using sticks because we're not allowed to have guns in Australia.
I just don't understand why they would air something like that, and they've refused to apologise.
Well, they said it was a parody, but I'm sorry if a conservative did the exact same about, let's say, who can we name? Tanya Plibersek. Can you imagine? It would be in every paper.
Yep.
It'd be a demand of an apology, and they'd be put in hate speech laws, and the cops would arrest them.
This is built up over the course of a good while. I mean, I remember, one of the things I started more politically left. I mean, probably I would call myself politically left when I was in my 20s. But I always liked my hippies. A little drum circle, a little tie-dye, a little frisbee. I'm good with all, and it was about, peace and love. And now it's about, you fast forward to the last 10 years, and they were all for locking people in their homes if they didn't get mandatory injections. They seem to love the war in Ukraine, and you have pictures of people in there like, my love language is kindness, saying they want to punch Nazis, and I mean somehow.
And what has Gina Reinhardt done wrong?
Well, she's got too much money, damn it.
But it doesn't even matter. The idea that there's so much hatred from a group of people that like to think of themselves as tolerant and loving. It's a really strange disconnect. Somehow they've gotten to the point where they have some of the most unhinged.
Don't you think it's strange? Like, imagine sitting in a production meeting where you're actually producing this content on the ABC and thinking, like, does the thought cross your mind, maybe we shouldn't do this? Like,
well,
maybe this is going to be
thought, mind, cross. Yeah, I don't know. Steve, I don't know, mate.
Isn't she taking them to court over this? I thought
Well,
she
I
was
hope
going
so.
to sue them.
I think that was, look, you might not like Gina Ryan, but that was really untasteful.
But it doesn't matter who you like. I don't like Albanese, but I'm not going to shove anything. up his
no.
ass
I mean, if they were doing it on our,
self-control.
if that was about Anthony Albanese,
I would still say it's distasteful.
I would still go.
It is distasteful. I don't think we should ever talk about people like that. And I'm from the conservative side of politics, but oh my God.
But imagine if it was about if the ABC was doing it about you. Like, how is Gina Reinhardt feeling at the moment?
Well, the violence of the political left has been there are memes about it, about how, the normal person stood in the middle and the left just ran away from them, in the end with the sniper rifle. You've seen those little memes. Yeah. And there's unfortunately a real truth to it. There's been a violent radicalization of a part of the political left. And I'm not saying that it's all of them. There are, of course, but there seems to be, that extreme wing has seemed to get more and more violent over time, which is
well, everyone who
really
was
sad
a
to see.
traditional leftist, like I know people I've grown up with them from high school, that you would have 20 something years ago considered them your Labor voter, maybe Greens. Now they're considered far right, because just nothing's changed in terms of really their character or persona or whatever, but they've been witnessing through COVID and the LGBTQ, LMNOP, like all the letters, and then they've been witnessing the migration stuff, and then there's cost of living, there's all the factors. There's sort of like it's kind of like throwing enough rocks at a house, and you've shattered so many glass when you're like, okay, something's doing that, and I need to go and investigate. And that's kind of been a lot of my friends. Some were awake like me straight away, but a lot of them I thought, oh, these guys have no hope. But they actually, and if they're watching,
what I was saying before about cosmetics. Maybe it takes 2 or 3 years before people get past that trauma.
Oh, this has been longer in the making. I'd say it's closer to 10 to 20 years.
Yeah, well,
when you look at the Department of Education, let's start with education. I know that we've talked about it, but the Department of Education is incredibly left-leaning.
Yeah.
So what our children are being taught at school, there's no balance.
Yeah.
They're taught what to think, not how to think, which is a real problem, which is why our education system is so low in the world and considered so terrible.
The stats I've seen in America, they've compared like statistics, I think, for like either IQ from like the 50s or 60s or 70s in America, and like it's just been dropping. And there is it
was rising up until this generation. That was the stat. This is the first generation that's actually dropped.
Oh, okay.
So, but one thing, before the Democratic Party in the U.S. is having this bifurcation problem, where the kind of centrists, uniparty Democrats, are struggling with their progressive wing, who are saying absolutely mad things. There was an article
like
I
AOC
just
style.
sent to you. No, well, Hassan Piker, the Democratic Socialists of America.
How did you send it to me?
Just on Signal. Just here, we're
here
to.
I have Signal on here.
Gotcha. We're here to destroy the white race. Democratic Socialists of America hero declares war on the West. They're this degree of self-hatred and
who said that? Hassan Piker.
Hassan Piker.
But we're dealing with this now. Once this generation grows up and the next generations filter through, and they're still getting taught the same things at our schools. What are we in for? Like, where's the world going? I think we're all millennials here. I think
X.
I think I just on the.
I think we're all.
Oh, you might be millennial.
We're all similar, right? We all see. We grew up in a world without computers and iPhones and all this sort of stuff. We see both sides. I think our generation is very unique in that way. So I think we play a big role in the future, hopefully, and a significant role. But the younger ones coming through, I mean, I know some really good young people that are conservative, or at least if they're not conservative, they've got a good head on their shoulders. I mean, there's still hope out there.
Our education needs to change immediately.
And you also need to give people hope economically. If there's no way that they can afford a home, they're either going to go radical left or populist right. Obviously the uniparty has failed the mainstream on both, both liberal, Labor, Republican, Democrat.
I'm glad you mentioned the economy. I want to bring up this chart and we'll talk about the economy a bit. This is This is the GDP growth per person under Albo. Now,
I think I'm in that bottom red
You
section.
terrible person. You've brought out the worst possible chart.
Well, you can see here. So this is the Hawke and Keating government.
I thought that was Albo's income.
There was
just going up. 660,000 or whatever.
No, that's the bureaucrat's income. That's
Yeah.
even higher.
Okay. So there were some dips, but generally they've increased over time. This is Howard, which was basically just one line straight up. Then we've got Rudd and Gillard, which surprisingly went up just slightly. And then also the Morrison Abbott Turnbull fiasco, that big dip there, I'm assuming is COVID. This is Albanese here, which is flatline and actually gone backwards. So, I mean, and it says here, if you're not just imagining it, Aussies are poorer. And it's starting to show up in all the statistics. I mean, we have been talking about it a lot on the show recently, that times are really tough under Albanese and the economy is not doing well. And it could be the result of the last 20 years of policy, not just Albo's fault, but the governments that came before. Now it's really starting to impact. But for future generations, what have they got to look forward to? They're never going to own a home. There's no prospect of owning a home. I mean, these new capital gains tax laws that have come in, they're not going to have any investment properties. Why would you? Why would you invest in property at the moment?
And with the high tax rates on income, there's no way to get ahead.
Yeah.
And the system.
And the real killer is inflation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Inflation, like the property, it's your median income to a house price. When it goes from 2 to 3 times to 5 to 10 to 20 times and above, and then you need a second, like you need your partner working. That's where it's like, okay, so you need 20 times your income. Like you need, I don't know, 150K. You need like $3 million now to buy a home.
Yeah,
so that's the problem. Inflation talking about you mentioned the previous governments. What I blame the current government for is their second term is not addressing any of these. What are they doing?
They have done something. They've brought in these laws regarding capital gains, and they've brought in the negative gearing, supposedly to help young people buy homes. I mean, you would think that the property market would have seen a bit of a boost because all these young people are out there buying homes. Well, I want to play this clip. This is
George Panos, Tom Panos,
Tom Panos, a real estate agent. He's commenting on the auction rates in Sydney.
I've been auctioning property for 30 years, and I've been in real estate for nearly 40 years. Through the early 90s, the recession, then we had GFC, the COVID, and every correction in between. Look where I am outside a house at Maryland. It's just a beautiful house, gorgeous house. And I'm telling you today, again, 0 registrations. This is the lowest level of auction activity I've experienced myself. I think this is the lowest since 1991. I can't remember. Listen, in 1991, in August, I was even doing 2 auctions, 3 auctions. Today, I've got 1 scheduled, and I'm standing outside a house here in Maryland. 0 registrations. I said last week, maybe next week it will be better. I said 1 hot day doesn't make a summer, but it's happened the 2nd week in a row. But here we are again. 2nd week, no regos, nothing's going to sell. What's surprising, this is happening in the same week that inflation came in better than expected, which basically said it's unlikely we're going to get a rate rise in August. Normally that sort of news gives some sort of confidence. Not this time. No, man. People are just clocked out. To me, this tells us something big is going on. Buyers aren't just worried about interest rates. They're worried about confidence. They're worried about policy. They're worried about making a decision. Markets don't collapse overnight. They freeze. They're frozen. I've seen price falls before, but I honestly can't remember having 0 participation. Maybe it's just the properties I've got at the moment, but they're not registering. If you're in real estate, don't ignore these signals. And if you're a buyer or seller, understand confidence is such a big thing. But it's amazing. When prices are crazy, buyers are bidding crazy. And when there's bargains along, they're not buying. Anyway, that's life.
Mate, I think he makes some very, very important points. I mean, it shows the confidence is waning. And as I said, I mean, young people, if Albo's policies are so great and they're helping young people get into homes, then they should be out there buying right now, right?
But this is what I'm saying. It's also like when I met you in 2022, that's like that's when you learn, oh, we're in debt with this and that.
Yeah.
Those governments before have not helped either.
No, definitely not. That's,
And that's what I'm
20,
saying.
20 years of bad economic management.
Maybe longer.
It was longer.
Maybe longer. And this is why I say
No, because that was Costello, and Costello had paid off the debt, right? Okay. Now you might be able to point.
You're talking about John Howard and Costello. Yeah, they sold Telstra off to do it, and they did in the worst possible way.
Yeah, well,
anyways, yes, they did.
They had a big debt to pay off, and that when the next government comes in, hopefully a good government, I don't know when it's going to come or where it's going to come from.
Nalbandian.
Yeah, when the Tripp and Nalbandian get in, you're going to be selling off the NBN. You're going to be selling off the Snow Hydro too.
He'll have gold-plated everything.
You're going to have to. How else are you going to pay the debt?
Sell off the ABC.
No.
You'd sell off the ABC.
Cut the bureaucracy.
No.
You have that much bureaucracy.
You increase the amount of power supply.
Yeah.
You're right. So you cheapen the power and you make it.
You can't just have one policy alone. That's not going to get done. We are over $1 trillion in debt, almost $2 trillion if you include state debt. We are in big trouble in this country. And if you think you're not going to be able to pay that off by selling things, that's how it's going to happen. We don't really have that much more to sell.
We can sell Victoria.
Who's going to buy it?
I wanted to say something else. I mean, you're talking about the younger generation not being able to afford to buy a place. They won't be able to afford to rent a place.
Yeah.
Last time negative gearing got taken off the table, what happened was the queues of renters were a mile long. And we're noticing it now. The rent has gone up already. How are the youth going to be able to live on their own? They're not. They're going to have to house share. This is actually an absolute disaster. This budget has been a disaster for the young.
And you got to remember with rents, you can only put rents up once a year. So there's going to be a delay in how those rents go up. So we won't see that for another year.
We've already seen it though.
Yeah, but imagine what it will be like
in a year.
Time, or 2 years' time. You're exactly right. And look, if people don't wake up to this stuff and vote in another government, then we're only going to get more of it.
What's
because
saying you're a Greens voter when you're young, and then you sort of most people stop being a Greens voter by the time they're 25 to 30.
Show me a man with the heart, and you'll get a socialist. And show me.
It was along the lines of the older you get, the less socialist you become because you increase your assets and your income.
Well, you won't be increasing your assets.
Like, oh wait, tax? what's this? 47% going to do what?
Well, I mean, it's good that you bring that up because I want to talk about tax. This is a clip. Let me just bring it up so it works properly. Give me a second. I don't know why this computer has a mind of its own sometimes. So people are already starting to talk about this stuff online. I'm seeing clips all the time talking about the rate of tax in this country, and it's, it's understandable. So let's hear what this man has to say. If it wants to work.
I think I just found a big problem with the tax system. The top tax bracket has moved 10 grand in 18 years, while at the same time, inflation has increased by 60%. You do the maths. These are the 2008 tax rates. Earn over 180K and you paid 45 cents on the dollar. Today, that threshold, 190K. 10K increase over 18 years. But what the hell does that actually mean? 180K in 2008 was serious money. You were the man. But to have that same lifestyle today, you need to be earning the equivalent of 270K. So people on good but not extraordinary salaries are now being taxed like they're rich. That's called bracket creep. And it's the tax rise nobody ever voted for. And it gets worse. Every single year, the brackets don't move, because the ATO quietly collects more without ever announcing a tax increase. So Albo, do us a favor. Instead of a $250 tax offset that doesn't even kick in until 2028, how about some serious reform? Index the tax brackets to match inflation like every other country already does.
But this is what people forget, right? Albo, he said he was going to keep the stage 3 tax cuts, and then went back on that promise. We were meant to get those tax cuts that addressed bracket creep.
Stephen, just one promise. Is that all?
We're talking about all these broken promises and how he's.
Chalmers said he made a mistake, or he said something along the lines of basically like, oh, maybe it wasn't the best, like because they're pushing policies through and changes, and it's like
they have no idea what they're doing, and it's starting to really impact.
Is it Chalmers that had a PhD in Paul Keating? Was that him?
Oh, right. Yeah, he did some.
Yeah.
Some thesis on Keating or something. I mean, I think Keating was overall a good treasurer, but he wasn't. He wasn't perfect.
Oh no,
There's plenty of, and you listen to Jared Reddick now. He points at a lot of things that Keating did wrong.
Yeah.
I'd believe Jared.
Yeah. So I mean, Jared should be the treasurer, I think, without question. But this tax stuff is massive. I mean, I've got this one up here. I'll bring it up on the screen. I won't play the whole video, but it's basically got it on the.
But think of all the value you get for your tax dollars. You get Albo, and you get
that
Carrie
disgusting
Chance
skit from ABC.
Yeah, well, but I mean, yeah, exactly. We are $1 trillion in debt, but what do we have to show for it?
We got that football team overseas. What was it?
The Fiji.
Oh, yeah, that's where my money went.
Papua New Guinea, yeah.
Yeah, Papua
They
New
haven't
Guinea,
even
that's
come
it.
in yet. But look at, I don't know.
Plus, in every single Senate estimate,
we get welcome to country.
Yeah, and everything's on notice. Not a single bureaucrat can answer a single question. Everything's on notice.
Well, they've got to plead the fifth, though. We don't have we don't have it. I mean, you would think for $1 trillion, we would point and say, oh, well, we've got that road over there. We've got that hospital. We've got that big school. They did build that, fair enough. Maybe they built a major piece of
safe and cheap electrical grid.
Yeah, or maybe a high-speed rail that would benefit the country over, many decades. But no, they just pissed it up against the wall.
No, instead we've got potholes. We've got waiting lists in hospitals that have grown so high that you cannot see a doctor. It's crazy.
And we've got bureaucrats earning over $1 million and they're not answering questions.
That's it.
And the public service, the bureaucracy keeps inflating. I mean, a lot of people say, oh, well, the public service are good because it includes police officers and blah, blah, blah. But the bureaucrats definitely are getting paid more. And a lot of these government, non-government organizations and supposedly non-profit organizations that are basically just fronts for the left are getting huge grants, huge government grants as well to be able to push forward left agendas. I mean, there's a lot of money. I mean, we need an audit or something in this country.
We do need an audit. There was a 500,000 given to Aborigines to go to space or something like that. I'm not joking. I know you think I'm joking.
$500,000 or $500 million.
That does sound like a joke.
No, 500,000. Okay, it wasn't a lot of money, but it is a lot of money. No, it's not a joke. It's not a joke.
I believe someone came up with that and thought that'd be a great idea.
But who took the actual money? It was like the machete beans in Victoria, 325,000.
But they've never worked in private industry. I mean, they go ahead with these ideas because that would sound great. And it would cost. We don't have
anyone in space in Australia going to space. I don't even understand what that grant is for.
Yeah.
I was just quite blown away.
I think the scarier part is the markers of a third world country, and it's pretty much Australia's kind of got some of it, and that's
Banana Republic. That's what we're becoming.
The primary services, the primary dig up your resources, and we give it a lot of it away. And then tourism, and apparently we're not the friendliest mob.
My big question over the last few weeks is, okay, we can identify all the things that are going wrong. We can identify that Albanese and Chalmers and everyone in Labor have no clue on how to manage an economy. We know that Treasury obviously don't know how to manage an economy because things keep getting worse and worse and worse. And we've played all the videos, we've showed all the graphs, we've made all those arguments, but there's one question we cannot answer, and that is who is coming to save us. We don't have a Peter Costello or John Howard to come in and save the day.
This is it. This is it, Australia.
Here we are. We're ready to go.
Well,
but one person that people probably are still hanging on to is the leader of the opposition, Angus Taylor.
What opposition?
Well, yeah.
Look at what they're polling. I mean, exactly. What opposition?
Hang on. Is this a joke? Is it still an opposition?
Technically, within the parliament, he is the opposition.
Oh, right. Okay.
Technically.
You're right.
For now.
Okay. Let's see what Angus Taylor has to say.
Oh, boy.
This is how Jim Chalmers is funding his budget. When your income goes up just to try to keep up with inflation, more and more of your income goes up into higher tax brackets. And so your tax rate goes up. It's a sneaky inflation tax. Bracket creep, the economists call it, where Australians look at their bank account and they say, I don't understand. Why is there less there than I expected? Because you're paying more and more and more to the government. And that's how government has been able to grow faster than the overall economy. Because if you're a socialist, that's what you want to do, isn't it? Get rid of the private sector and have more government. And that is exactly what they're doing. We will bring that to an end.
Well, look, he says all the right things.
Our tax back guarantee.
But the uniparty record is
a terrible record.
Really clear.
I wanted to play that to point that out and get to that reaction. He's saying the right things, but one of the things I noticed in that crowd, they didn't care. Like they weren't paying attention. I think this is the problem with the Liberal Party. People have given up on them, and it doesn't matter what Angus Taylor says or what proposals he puts forward. People have switched off. They don't care. They don't trust the Liberal Party to be able to come in.
But they did that to themselves. They absolutely did that to themselves.
Yeah, I agree. People are giving, and the same thing in the U.S. is that doesn't even though a lot of times that your party of choice seems to say the right thing, they always sell out to the donor class. Always. And even Trump, he's lost a lot of his coalition this time around because he didn't keep to the America First promises. He said he was going to be different. And then, he gives in to the medical industrial complex with that CDC director and the FDA and the flu shot. And also starting a war that is not popular. Yeah. He's probably going to lose in the midterms.
There's a video of him I saw the other day where he goes, I could shoot someone, I think it was in New York.
In Fifth Avenue. That's an old quote.
Right. But he's saying, and he goes, I'd still get voted. People will still want me.
It seems like Pauline Hanson's like that at the moment here in Australia.
I hope she's not going to shoot him.
Well, I hope not.
I can't imagine Pauline doing that.
I just want to say, you can tell, and this is not I'm not trying to have a dig at the Australian voter class, but when I see, would Pauline Hanson make a better leader than Albanese? I'm like, there's no leaders from the Senate. This just doesn't happen. That's not by convention in Australia. And it's not against the law, but it all comes from the lower house. And people are like, lower house? I'm like, wow. And this is the problem. This is where we are in.
Okay, so let's go back to education. I know I'm banging on about it. Why don't we teach our children the political systems and politics in schools? They know nothing.
Because they might threaten the ruling class. Jeez.
I know. My pet hate is like none of these kids know how to think. Like they know what to think. They'll memorize a piece of paper off by heart in their HSCs. Ask them how to problem solve.
It's not just the kids. I mean, one of the things we've noticed at Australians for Better Government in the year and a half we've been going is that a lot of what we do really has to come down to civics education. Because to get people to understand our system, you have to educate them first, and they're just not up to the standard of where they need to be able to understand the proposals that we're putting forward.
Steve, do you know how many people came up and said, I voted for you because of X? I'm like, what if I'm a lunatic? Like I voted for, my parents.
You had a nice smile. So
it's like, like my relatives, we saw you. I'm like, do you guys understand some pretty big problems in the country? That's what it is.
Got a comment here from Scott, and he's picked up on something that.
Hello, Scott.
G'day, Scott. I was listening to a South African the other day, and he mentioned the first time he noticed, the first thing that he noticed was the potholes. Made me think of Victoria. So
absolutely,
and they are south of New South Wales.
And I'm sorry, I'm not in Victoria. I'm in the eastern suburbs of Sydney, and I feel like sometimes suing the council for the amount of tires I have busted. And it's not because I drive like a lunatic. I had low profile tires on a car, and you're paying your rates to a government body, which you'd expect them to fill in the potholes.
Yeah.
No, they're busy putting up cashless meters, so you pay your parking and your tolls.
We've got that, and
I've got a gripe against that. We've got to talk about that one day on your show. Anyways,
we've also got an LGBTQI rainbow.
There's your money.
On the driveway, but I just want to know. I'm happy with that. But where's the heterosexual color? That's my question.
It's part of your tires. You just drive over.
Yeah, that's right. They're busted.
Martin says, "Can the panel tell me this? Are we a constitutional monarchy, or are we an independent republic?" We are a constitutional monarchy.
We are not a republic.
I think we're a constitutional dictatorship, personally.
Okay. Well, now speaking of Victoria and speaking of the Liberal Party, and this is one of their, I guess, top performers down there in Victoria.
That's pretty good.
Liberal?
Yeah, Liberal
Party.
She's not bad.
This is Nicole Warren. I think her name. Just cut off there. I didn't know her name. Warner. She's a firecracker, this one, and maybe Angus Taylor needs to learn a little bit more from Nicole.
These people are cut from the same corrupt cloth. Here we are another day, Speaker, another unelected Premier where Victorians got no say again. They didn't elect the member for Bendigo East, they did not elect the member for Nidgery, and they sure as hell did not vote for $15 billion worth of corruption here with taxpayers' money. So that is why we are moving this vote of no confidence against the Premier. Whoever the Premier is, whether it's the former Premier or the new Premier, this is the point, Speaker, that all of these people are cut from the same corrupt cloth. And the new incoming Premier has been at the former Premier's side the entire time. We oppose wholeheartedly this government and the new Premier.
Okay, so that's what's happening down in Victoria. And of course, Victoria are heading to the polls in November. And it looks like the Liberal Party may win. Now, One Nation did come out with their leadership team through the week. Warren Pickering, who's been on the show before, is the leader of Victoria, appointed by One Nation. Now, he's been basically running the show down there for a long time now, so it was really no surprise. But, I mean, I guess, guys, I mean, when you see a clip like that from a Liberal, do you have any hope for them, whether it's, I mean, federally or at state levels?
No. I do like her. I have been following her. I do. Look, regardless of the fact that I don't think the Liberals can do much, there are certain Liberals that are actually quite worthwhile. We can't sort of, pigeonhole them all and say, okay, you're from the Liberals and you're just a nobody. She's quite good. She's talked about a lot of very interesting issues in Victoria.
Yeah.
She actually
Okay.
spoke about the machete bins. She spoke
Sure.
about a whole lot of stuff. There are others that you want to slap. Sure.
Well, but this to me is the problem.
I'm not
because
saying be violent for anyone out
I've
there.
spoken to incumbent Liberals, right? People who currently elected, and they said, like, when are you going to join the Liberal Party? And I said, mate, this whole thing has to be burnt to the ground. Like, it's not savable.
Yeah.
And this is the thing.
They want you to join so you can be expelled.
Huh? Oh,
They can join the
following
elite
other
club.
people.
No, there's been a few of you.
What I'm saying is, like, yes, she's saying all the right things, right? But why? I mean, one, maybe she has a long-term strategy to get elected, because getting elected is probably the hardest part. It seems like once you're in, you can do almost anything. You might get kicked out of a party. So I think getting in is one part of it, and maybe that requires a party like the Liberal Party, which still has somewhat of a brand, right? It's somewhat.
Yeah.
There's still probably 30% of what is it down at 28%?
They're about 20%. And Victoria, they're a little bit higher. I mean, it looks like they're headed.
But One Nation's also polling roughly.
Yeah, well, it depends which polls you look at. But I mean, One Nation, we're up to 30 in some polls.
Sam, can you check? No.
Sam I'll give Sam Bruno a call.
But that's what I'm saying. Like she's.
But the Liberals are generally around the 20 mark.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I wouldn't join the Liberal Party just to get in. Like, what's the point?
I can't until 2033.
Right, but the brand is damaged.
There is no point.
There is no point. The problem is, say she gets in.
She's in, right?
Say she gets re-elected or whatever.
Yeah.
How much can she really do if she doesn't have support of whatever she's talking about from the rest of the party?
Yeah, the upper echelons of the institution are fundamentally corrupt.
It's
corrupt, and
that's
shown themselves.
I think Craig Kelly has said that as soon as he joined the Liberal Party, they're like, "You got to join a faction," and he's like, "A what?" Like when he first joined. So, the factional system. And I actually ended up
you get
reading
branded with a faction as well. I mean, Giselle Capterian said to us 2 weeks ago, she said, "Oh, I never joined the moderate faction, but everyone says that I'm a moderate."
Because she got backed by Gladys.
She can't stand the faction system, but
Yeah,
that's the culture within the party.
And here's the thing: I bet if she said anything about it while she was a candidate, they'd probably
No, she did. I mean, I played it on the show.
Okay.
She has publicly come out and said,
because there's others that have spoken
she
against it, and it's like, oh, we've got to get rid of him. Ben Britton's one; they got rid of him.
Yeah, but they got rid of him for a whole host.
No, there's more reasons to that one.
But that kind of system happens in all kinds of different countries. In the U.S., someone gets elected to Congress, even if they're, they mean well, they say the right things, it comes from the heart, and they show up, and then they get to the K Street lobby. Hey, let me invite you to this party where a whole bunch of people can donate to your campaign.
Yeah,
and that's where the institutions of Washington start to creep in. It's like, oh, well, if I'm nice to these people, then I can get campaign contributions, or it's either kind of playing ball within the party itself or with the lobbyists, and that's where you lose 90+% of people.
You know, this is why people say that we need to go back to a constitutional monarchy, because at least there's only
What do you
one.
mean go back to?
We are a constitutional monarchy.
Well, what I mean is not have a democratically elected government, that because that way you only have one person to pray for and or threaten with prayer.
King Charles, really? I think I'd rather throw myself on a funeral pyre.
But the thing is that at least you know you know the one person that's responsible literally for all of it, right? And people are making the argument online, like we can laugh about it now and go, kings, it's a thing of the
back
past.
when it was a king, right? That back in the day, it was like off with his head. If he was like doing something terribly wrong,
but it's not like the peasants on the farm could take his head off.
No, it's not the peasants.
No, but the military would have to aid with that.
Yeah, and I mean, I certainly wouldn't count on the upper echelons of the aristocracy to take the head of the king.
Yeah, what if there's enough angry peasants?
Again, I'm not advocating for violence. I'm going through history.
Violence coming.
No. Threaten with prayer. I'm going to pray you out.
All right, here's a question from Scott. Do you think the moderates will get cleared out like dead wood after these elections, and we'd be left with a super base Liberal Party?
No,
I don't think so.
You've lost
no,
faith completely?
you've got Michael Photius in there. There's no way in the world. Sorry.
The power brokers as well.
The power brokers.
They're in
all right. So what's the answer, right? Okay, well, let's look at the alternative. The One Nation Party, I guess.
I thought you were going to blow a trumpet. No, that was last year.
I want to ask you about maybe some other alternatives, but this is what at least One Nation are up to. This is
your decision to defect
he's
to
lost.
One Nation is dragging you further into a place of intolerance and racial discrimination. You're defending your leader, but are you really comfortable with where she is taking you?
I think, sit down!
Jesus Christ! Wow.
Was that to a dog?
Wow.
Haven't you guys seen that? It's been everywhere.
I think it was in your intro.
It was in the intro, but I didn't know the context.
Look,
I was wondering if he was.
I've heard Barnaby is actually pretty based, right? For all his flaws, I can respect that. Like, he's not pretending, Maybe he's, I don't know, but was there a question about that?
No, I was making light of the whole situation, but okay, seriously, there is a New South Wales election coming up here. I mean, as I said, the Victorian election is coming up in November. Warren Pickering has been selected as the leader of One Nation down there
in Victoria, right?
Victoria. They've also announced the leader for New South Wales, which is Stuart Bonds, who we've also had on the show, a very good friend of Stuart's. So Stuart's come out recently and even started to announce some policies. So let's hear from Stuart and I guess have a little bit of a more serious take on One Nation than Barnaby swearing at his dog.
Coal-fired power station would open in the Hunter and renewable energy zones scrapped under One Nation. Those are the promises party member Stuart Bonds made today as he confirmed he will run in next year's state election.
Decked out in One Nation orange,
This is the front line for the elections fight.
Stuart Bonds mixing with potential voters at the New South Wales Mining Conference in the Hunter ahead of the next state election.
Look, I'll be there in some respect. I haven't made a decision whether I'll be applying for the upper house or the lower house at the moment.
As for his party's energy policies,
So we're proposing that we build a new, clean, coal-fired power station here in the Hunter.
renewable energy zones would also be ditched.
And the projects that are not off the ground, we propose they don't go forward.
Cessnock MP Clayton Barr argues renewables don't have to come at the expense of mining. He's in support of the Hunter Valley Operations Continuation Project.
We've got over 1,000 people working up there, which is 1,000 families that rely on that income.
The Independent Planning Commission is currently deciding whether to grant an extension of the mine's life until 2042 or let it shut down this December.
If this project doesn't go ahead, we are really looking at economic Armageddon.
The state government's Future Jobs and Investment Bill aims to better protect workers facing redundancy, but it's yet to be passed in the upper house. But the New South Wales Minerals Council.
All right, so basically, Stuart, hopefully, has been announced or he'll be the leader, he'll be pushing policy. Energy policy is a big thing that he likes to talk about and he's very passionate about. I mean, when we ask the question, who's coming to save us, do you guys have faith in One Nation?
It's a bit of a loaded question. Look, I like Stuart Bonds. I actually listened to quite a number of his interviews, and it was educational from the coal perspective of how coal is sought after, not just for the thermic effect to burn it, but that like Japan would take the ash and put in their concrete to make like their buildings tsunami or hurricane proof or whatever, earthquake proof. And I'm like, why are we not doing like people talk about waste? I'm like, this is like the great examples. So I actually really like him. Look, the thing, I don't know, One Nation's been around for a very long time. And, you know, is it the case of you talk about the Uniparty, are they part of it now, or is it really people are starting to wake up? That's where I sort of think, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Are people genuinely being drawn to One Nation because they want a change? I remember I had an old teacher that, you know, everyone thought he was a racist because in the 90s when she first came, he's like, F that, I'm voting for One Nation. Everyone, one of my mates who was like a bit of a lefty, he's like, oh, he's so racist. That's why he's voting for her. She's from Queensland and she hates Asians. I'm like, and, you know, as a kid, you're 15 or whatever, you know, he would tell that guy, I won't mention his name, he'd be like, if they get voted in, if the Liberal government comes in 10 years, we'll run out of food. And I'm like, mate, I'm done pretty well. Like, just the craziness that was being perpetuated then. So, I hope they can form part of a bloc to hold whatever next government comes to account. Whether it's One Nation, Libertarian.
You don't think they can form government?
No, well, we talked about how long it took for people to recognize that maybe they made some mistakes over COVID. How much longer for your lifelong party of the Liberal, Labor, Teals, whatever, Greens, you know, that people are not going to change it takes time. It really is like a cult. Like, I mean, you can study cults. Like cults have like, they're just drawn, and as soon as someone leaves, we don't talk to them, you know, like, and we experienced that. The worst ones was from the Teals and Labor. They did not want to talk to me. The Liberal supporters on the booths when we went,
very nice.
They were nice enough. I'm like, oh, these guys are.
I don't know. Greens were worse.
But again, those guys are like, oh, you're with like, you know, you're far right or whatever. Like they were just sort of saying in general, it's like, no, man, we're the same. I'm just not tacked on to these parties that have done nothing really that beneficial for 30 years. So look, I don't know if they form government. I'd be willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. You know,
one of the
about
things,
second chances before.
One of the things One Nation is doing is taking the wind and the oxygen out of all the other minor parties that are around as well. I mean, Libertarians are holding branch meetings out in Goulburn and 0 people are turning up. I mean, that's how bad some things are getting for some of these minor parties. But I mean,
hey, at least they're having branch meetings.
Well, I suppose so. At least they're trying. I'll give them.
You know, I can't say I've heard that from some of the other minor parties. Like, where's the branch meetings?
Yeah, know? Well, yeah. But
it's One Nation, Libertarians, and I haven't heard of branch meetings from.
Well, I know Joe Rennick's party has branches.
They've got branches.
Oh, good. Okay.
They've got branches.
Some of them hold their meetings online, but some of them hold them face to face. I mean, it is happening. But I mean, Family First is still out there as well. They're not getting the attention that One Nation.
Neither's Jared's, unfortunately. In the by-election that happened only recently, and that was a Farrow by-election. Yeah, they didn't do very well.
No,
they polled very poorly, and it's very, very unfortunate
because all the attention was on One Nation.
Well,
how did this was
One Nation won.
One Nation.
Oh yeah, okay, right, okay.
But the person who won just voted with the Greens and Labor on a few stats.
So
Sorry, I had to mention.
So where's the vetting?
And I don't understand how you can make a mistake and vote where the Greens.
It's that the guy's an older bloke, right?
Yeah.
And he wanted to fly a different flag or something.
You know, he wanted to fly all 3 flags. So he had the Australian flag, because when you get a parliamentary office, there's a special group that comes around and says, okay, which artwork do you want? You can select this sort of artwork. What flags do you want? People like Ralph
10th century cathedrals from Europe. Okay,
people like Ralph Abet will say, I just want the 10 Australian flags or something like that. But David Farley said, no, I want the Aboriginal flag, the Torres Strait Islander flag, and the Australian flag. Now, people said, well, that goes against what Pauline Hanson is saying, because Pauline Hanson is saying we have just one flag, and that's the only flag that should be flown.
Hasn't he recanted or reversed his position, or he went with 3 flags? Does anyone know?
I think the last I heard of it, Pauline was saying, look, he's able to make his own decision. I'm not going to hold that against him.
I'm not so upset about the flags, but voting with Labor and the Greens when you're in One Nation.
Well, look,
but how is that an accident? Because he did say it was an accident.
Depends on what they're voting for.
I will say this: when new parliamentarians go into Parliament, they say the first 2 or 3 years you're really just learning procedure. You're basically a lost puppy in there. So
they're learning when beer o'clock is.
The people make mistakes. I know John Ruddick apparently made a mistake in the New South Wales Parliament.
I thought you meant when he went on the Harbour Bridge. Sorry. Sorry, I thought that's what you're talking about.
Well, maybe. But I mean, those first few years, and he hasn't even been in there a year. He's only been in there a handful of months. So, I mean, if he's making those mistakes, 3 years into his term, okay, then we say there's something wrong with this guy. But I think right now, you give it a pass, I guess. Keep an eye on him.
We'll give him the benefit of the doubt and keep an eye on him.
Yeah.
Look, people are looking for an alternative.
Well, Scott says that David Farley is a plant and can't be trusted. So people out there
maybe
already...
Scott knows something we don't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, if this is happening, is it being done to derail One Nation? You know?
Well, the other one was in South Australia. There was a candidate that was crying.
Aldridge, Dave Aldridge or whatever.
I don't remember.
Older guy, glasses, go down.
No, younger guy who was crying and thanking his gay.
his gay boyfriend.
But I don't have a problem that he's gay. What I have a problem with is your sexuality doesn't belong in Parliament. You don't actually announce to the rest of the world what happens in your bedroom. It's Parliament.
But it wasn't maiden speech.
But
so maiden speech, you're thanking all the people that have got you to this point.
But why does it have to be specified that you're gay, heterosexual, lesbian? I mean, if you get in, right?
You would thank your family. You'd say, "Oh, thank you to my wife and my kids for supporting."
Okay, thank you to my boyfriend.
Look, all I can say, my maiden speech will be unhinged. Will be unlike people like me. I'm like, shut up. I've got a mouthful to give.
Keep your sexuality out of Parliament. That's
I won't be thanking anyone but God. Thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus. And then blasting. That's.
I can't wait for your maiden speech. I also can't wait for your what do they call it? Your valedictory speech when you leave Parliament. I think that one would probably be even better.
I think I think everyone would be on my side by then.
I actually would love to see Ralph Babette's speech when he leaves.
He's like, he probably like, screw you guys. I'm going home.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun.
Paul, do you have any faith in anyone?
Actually, it is kind of funny. Faith is not a word I like to use. I think
you got to have a little bit of faith.
Well, I think hope is good. Data is better. And consistency. But
trust the science, Paul.
Because I appreciate
Dr. Fauci,
and
bring me vaccine. I saw that the other day. I'm like, that guy. Oh, anyway, sorry. Go on, Paul.
I have no idea what I was saying.
Faith, hope.
Faith, hope. I mean, I guess that's the thing is, as far as
you're quoting the Bible, faith, love, hope. I'm like, where's he going?
Institutions, especially, I don't have, wouldn't have faith in. I know there are some really good people in One Nation, and but whether or not the party organization can take it to the next level, because one of the things that Scott Adams talked about is people have talent stacks. There's, you go through life and you build up, certain communication skills, scientific skills, other skills, and it takes, a unique talent stack in order to take certain things to the next level. And parties, like for instance, with Clive Palmer and United Australia, you can be really good at one thing that's important in your talent stack, which is money, I guess, and your marketing can be crap. So when it comes to whether One Nation can take it to the next level, that remains to be seen, because you need.
So you're wondering, do they have the talent, all the talent stacks required?
Right. Because you can have good people, you can have some of the right policies, but you have to be, good on your messaging. You have to be good on the fundraising,
see how a king would be just easier. If it's good or bad.
I so completely disagree with that.
Imagine there's only one person.
One person to blame. Everyone's blaming Alba, but there's bureaucrats, charmers,
But one other thing, I think things will be so different in a year and a half, 2 years. That the whole conversation will be different.
Different, you mean like you think people will be more?
I think
more crushed than ever.
I think we are going into hard times.
Yeah.
You know, we is one of those things where they say, you know, weak men make hard times.
We're about to hit a brick wall. At least with
hard times make strong men.
Yeah.
And
strong men make good times.
strong men make
make
good times.
weak times, yeah.
We're at the weak men make hard times, and you know, and that's what it's going to require for people to get active and activated and shrug off their complacency, and then we'll.
But it does wake people up. I mean, tough times.
It does.
Literally, it's like literally getting hit in the head with a brick wall. I mean, this economic crisis that's coming. I mean, we haven't felt anything yet.
Petrol shortage.
I think we're at the very my guess
at
is
the precipice.
we're at the beginnings of it.
Yeah.
Look,
is my guess.
I tell you, but just off that, I have short conversation a lot of times, and I tell people get involved in politics. They're like, "Oh, it's all a scam." I'm like, listen, if you don't get involved in politics and vote decent people in, politics will get involved in your life, and that's what we're seeing.
So as Cicero said, right? No, you may not be interested in war, but war is interested in you.
And there's someone there's a quote, I don't know,
something like that.
Something
It
like
might be
that,
apocryphal, but it's that idea is that you might not want to be interested in politics,
but they will look at you.
But unless good people get involved, politics will come for you.
Well, I had Adam Zara, Richard Storch, and Sam Bruno on the show 3 weeks ago, and we got accused of being One Nation cheerleaders. So I guess finally on the whole upcoming election side of things, is there a final verdict on not just One Nation, but maybe some of the other minor parties that are around? I mean, is there anyone there? I mean, I'm liking what Jared Rennick is saying.
Sam has always said that it splits the vote from the Liberal Party. This was in 2022, right?
Okay.
And now we're in 2025 where through whatever.
You're still living in the past.
I'm talking about election cycles, right? Sorry. Yes, we are in 2026. What I'm saying is that it's fragmenting anyways, because the party is not a cohesive. It's not like the magnet it used to be. It's not like the men's. It's not from that era.
You're talking about the Liberal Party.
Yeah, that's why it's going to all the other parties.
There's the same thing that's happening in the rest of the Western world. You look at the collapse of the Tories, and you know the Tories are down below 20% in the UK. In Germany, you know, it's these upstart parties that are now becoming the largest parties in the country.
But here's the thing, all right. And I interviewed Lord John Redwood a couple months ago now.
Too.
Yeah. He's been in the UK Parliament since 1987, and he just wrote a very interesting book. And he talks about this. Now, the caveat of it is that the European system is different in the fact that they have the European Union.
Yep.
Okay, so when you do get voted in, you can't do as much as you want to do because of the restrictions of the EU. But his argument is that these populist parties rise up. People are ready to support populist parties because they're so disenfranchised with the major parties, and they vote them in, but they only get one term to do anything. And if they get in there and they don't do anything, they get voted out, and the next populist party rises up and gets voted in. And apparently in some countries in Europe, this has happened 2 or 3 times. And he's saying that you're even seeing signs of it happening to Reform UK as well. They're getting elected to big councils. They get in there and they don't cut the spending that they were campaigning that they would be cutting.
But
so the thing is, One Nation, if they do get elected into a position where they do have some sort of power or even government, they're only going to have a very short time, probably one term of parliament, to get anything done before the people are ready to move on to the next.
But you're saying it in a way that, is it enough time to achieve a goal?
Well, 3 years is not a long time.
You can't do anything. This has been decades of run into the ground.
I've heard is also that the previous policies that were established by the previous bureaucrats, the current bureaucrat won't reverse. They're like, this has been established from before. So I think we need a massive overhaul. I think getting in there is one thing, but then reforming the system, or maybe not even reforming, going back to what it's meant to be.
Yeah.
You know, like the treasurer is supposed to set the interest rates, not the RBA or whatever. There's a law about it. The treasurer's got power. Like the different positions were meant to have, the different ministerial positions meant to have power. Maybe we need to just go back to that and cut the bureaucrat and have just advisors rather than bureaucrats who decide policies. That's what's happening.
Look at Malay. He's made quite an impact.
Yeah, he's been good.
And that's a very short period of time that he's managed to make a bit of an impact. So I'm not saying Pauline is a Malay or that we're expecting anything that extent, it's very hard to say what is going to happen and what the popularity is and what her policies will achieve. But it's possible. It's possible to change a country. It's just a lot of cutting of a lot of bureaucracy and
Although I would say Europe is uniquely screwed because the European
That's a
Union
good way to put it.
is first of all, it's an unelected, undemocratic institution that regardless of who gets elected, they're going to be hamstrung all kinds of different ways by Ursula von der Satan and all her cronies. And so the other thing is that their bond, I don't expect their bond market to last the next few years, so I think they're going to have a uniquely tough time, but we don't have quite those same.
Yep. Okay, guys. I mean, we've gone over the 2-hour mark, so thank you for sticking with us. Hope you've enjoyed this, and hopefully the audience has enjoyed this one as well. I've got one more clip to play because I think this is important as well. There's something that's happened in the last 2 weeks. The AUSAlert system we got rolled out. So I want to play this clip. This was an interesting clip by a lady called Amanda Rose, who is the founder of the Western Sydney Women. It's interesting what she had to say, and I want to get your comments after it.
And invest. But of course, the cynic in me is what's coming. So they're
What do you
really
mean what's coming?
Well, they're pushing an alert system. We all need to have it. So is there something on the way that they know that they need to use it for some reason? So look, I'm a cynic
I
at
feel
heart.
like you're suggesting that there's some sort of choreography of some sort of disaster.
Of course there is, and I believe that 100%, that in not all, but there's a lot that they do curate. But also don't forget, we've been warned by the World Economic Forum that the next attack, the next pandemic is going to be a cyber pandemic as well. So how is that going to integrate with this? So I'm suspicious of why the government's pushing it, because the fact that the emergency services obviously weren't involved in the design is a red flag.
Yes, it is a red flag, but heading into...
So what surprised me was that was actually aired on
mainstream.
So I mean, hats off to Amanda Rose for going out there and at least having the guts to say something like that. I mean, do you agree with it?
100%.
Was this the one they got rid of Carl off?
Yeah.
So they got rid of Carl.
They got rid of
She's since resigned from the Today Show as well.
all right.
For other reasons, but yeah, she's no longer.
We've never needed this before. Since when have we have had mobile phones for how long? And what do we need an alert for? For what? And I mean, she's got a point. Is there something coming? Have they planned something?
Well,
what do we need?
I got a very interesting text message from my phone provider who they sent. Honestly, you can see, I won't read it all out, but they're basically saying update your software, urgent update, device software, latest version, you make sure full emergency 00 calling capability, and on and on and on and on and on it goes. And if you need help, call us. And I'm like, please do not make an emergency call to test your device. I'm like, I don't even want this text message. I actually
Surprised it doesn't say this message will self-destruct after 3 seconds.
I actually then goes, we plead the fitness. So yeah,
but I think what this shows is people really distrust government now.
Good.
Everyday people really distrust. I mean, they roll out something simple like an alert system, and everyone's like, "There's nefarious reasons behind it," and they're going to roll out something even worse. And that could be the case. I mean,
distrust is earned. Look at what's going on with the flock cameras in the United States.
Yeah.
Somehow they managed to roll that stuff out nationwide, regardless of all the city. You try to do that with anything else, and you're going to have to run into city ordinances and county ordinances. But they managed to roll it out. And there's some serious pushback.
There's heaps of pushback.
People do not, and I would say rightly, trust anything like that. That's it's basically a mass surveillance system, and that people didn't consent to.
Yeah,
we've got them here, don't we?
I don't know how. I don't know as much how that works.
We've got facial recognition cameras in Sydney in the CBD. Yeah, we actually do.
Well, Bunnings or someone had them all.
Well, Bunnings wanted to roll them out.
Coles, I think maybe they've had.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Coles may have had
all,
to take
all the when you go into the shops and you scan your own items now, there's a camera.
See a little thing.
No, but there's a camera from the top, the front, and sometimes through the machine looking up to make sure you're not stealing anything.
Yeah. Well,
I thought they were thinking that I was a hand model.
Okay, a couple of comments to finish up. This one's from Martin. Why then is the Governor General chosen by the Parliament, the Prime Minister, and has no petrogative powers, and the High Court ruled the UK is a foreign power separated from the UK. They will, Australians for Better Government talks about this stuff. We would push for a referendum where we ask the people to agree to have the Governor-General elected by the Australian people, and then have the Governor-General run the executive branch of government and can be completely separate from the government. So we have a true separation of powers, and we don't have a Prime Minister that's running both branches of government. So that's, check out AustraliansForBetter.com. You'll see all those proposals up there. I think it's under reforming the Constitution or ensuring a true separation of powers. One of those two tabs, check it out and see our proposals. And Martin also asked the questions, what's People for Better Government? I think he means what's Australians for Better Government's plan to get rid of Labor? Well,
we're educating the people in Australia, right?
Well, ABG, look, firstly, ABG is a non-partisan group, so we are not advocating for anyone to vote a particular way. If people want to vote for Labor and vote for a Labor government, then that's the choice of the Australian people. And that's what it comes down to. If you want to get rid of Labor, you need to get people to vote them out. And it's up to the voters to make those decisions. It's not up to any particular group. We're definitely not a political party, and we are non-partisan. So in that respect, despite my own personal views, ABG will not push for any particular party or anything like that.
Well, I won't vote for Labor again. I voted for them once.
You voted for them once?
Yeah, I was lost, man. I was young and lost.
Never speaking to you again.
Yeah.
No, just
at least I'm honest.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for sticking with us. It's been a great show. Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Robert. And thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
It's been great. Everyone, please check these guys out. You guys on social media or anything like that?
Absolutely.
I would like to take this opportunity to plead the fifth. Now you can find. I do have a YouTube channel. It's I Am Nalbandian. It's plead the fifth. It's more religious Christian sort of stuff, but sometimes I throw the hammer down and go for a rant or whatever. But
And Natalie?
I'm under Natalie _Dumer, Dumer on Instagram and Facebook, and I run an event once a month in Double Bay for like-minded people where there's politicians, scientists, doctors,
The
a whole bunch
Good
of
Night.
different. Yeah, it's called the Good Night. So
like the night as in the tectonic.
How do people find that if they want to come along?
Oh, it's first Wednesday of every month.
Okay.
Without that, except for January because I have a break.
At the
At the Golden Sheaf in Double Bay upstairs.
7 p.m. right?
Yeah, 7 p.m. Yeah.
And Paul, what are you up to?
I'm on Facebook, but apart from that, other things are in work.
Wow, there we go.
Ooh.
And I'm sure, hopefully, you guys will be running for elections soon.
I don't know about next year. Yeah. I love getting told I'm a racist, son of migrants who hates. It's like, okay, you know.
Listen, I got called a Nazi and I'm Jewish, so come on.
Hey, there's always a first time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a female friend of mine was telling me they got called a misogynist the other day. So,
Oh, interesting.
Oh, yeah. And what's wrong with the labels now? They've run out of power.
We should just accept them. I should just get up there.
Yes, I am a racist.
I'm a white supremacist. I'm a racist. I'm a
Someone's going to clip me.
What else is there?
Hang on. You can't do any waves because that's illegal, right?
Yeah, that's right. We won't go that far. But on that note, we better finish up. Thank you very much. Head to commandthenarrative.com and follow us there. And we'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Please.